This is On the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Jake Bakovic and Eric Strickland, the Husker Hall of Famer and longtime NBA vet, will join me here in about an hour. Until then, we have Nick Sainert in, bleeding over from the happy hour. I like to call this the ticket water cooler. And Nick, you're really the only one that sticks around the water cooler too much with me.
I love the water cooler. No, it's all good. Hey, if you want to get Rico in here, if you want Mark, you just let me know. I'll hang out though whenever you need me.
Yeah, at some point I'll try to get a few more people in here. I kind of like the idea of getting the kind of the round table, getting 4 people on the mic, having a big discussion at some point in time. But this is our first week, so we're trying to put it together. I'm
sure at some point Rico will waddle back here and he'll be on at some point.
Oh, if there's any breaking news, we know Rico will be right back.
Exactly.
Here.
He used to be. I'm sure he's listening. He used to be the transfer portal correspondent.
That's right.
But he's kind of slacked off at that and is no longer that. So we don't know whenever anybody gets entered or enters the transfer portal because we don't have Rico anymore.
Yeah. Are you still pretty glued to the transfer portal? It kind of seems like it's lost its luster a little bit, even though Nebraska still doesn't have a quarterback.
I was going to say, that's all I'm worried about right now.
Yeah.
It's just Nebraska's quarterback. So I'm interested in that regard, as in what quarterbacks are out there that are available to Nebraska. Caleb Williams, right? But no.
The ultimate hope, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you, I was thinking about this. What's the thought if Nebraska takes 2 quarterbacks and those 2 guys are Casey Thompson and Chubba?
That'd be great for me. I mean,
I think that'd be as good of a case as it could be right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a long-term guy in Chuba and then get the starter there in Casey Thompson, it'd be perfect. I don't know if I expect to see that, because a lot of these guys like Purdy, if he wants to go somewhere, you'd think that maybe he'd be looking to be the guy. But he just doesn't have the resume to be the guy unless he walks into I don't know, Louisiana Tech or something like that. He's going to have to compete for it because he hasn't been a starter somewhere else, whereas Casey Thompson would walk in as a former starter at Texas, which is a pretty brand name school.
So then what if Purdy walks into Nebraska and is the starter?
If he does, that's fine, but he's going to have to beat out Logan Smothers. He wouldn't be. Okay. He'd be penciled in maybe as the number 1 or whatever, but he'd have to work for it.
And what happens if Casey comes? Do we think Casey's the starter?
I think that's grabbing a starter out of the portal. Yeah,
I would lean. What do we think happens with Logan Smothers by the
end of spring with a lot
ball?
Of this, right? It depends on if they do get a quote unquote starter. I mean, I think either way, he's been told that he's going to compete. I mean, he's got 1 game under his belt as a Nebraska quarterback. Obviously, we all probably look at that game and say that's probably not a game plan you can run every week to try to beat the teams, because he ran the ball, took too many hits. But I think that. I think that sometimes what's get lost in all this is that I think Logan Smothers could be a solid starter. I wouldn't be too concerned. If he ends up being the starter at Nebraska. I think that you're taking a step down from Adrian Martinez, or kind of at least knowing, not potentially maybe Logan could get to that level, but it's not there quite yet. But I don't know if that would be the worst idea in the world. My former cohort Tom was always talking about, let's take more out of the quarterback's hands. Let's make this less of a quarterback-centric offense. And maybe Mark Whipple's ideas and his style would do that a little bit, even though Kenny Pickett was kind of seen more as, I mean, that's what we all get excited about for Mark Whipple. Yeah. It's less of a just, read and react and quarterback run and all that sort of thing in the past for Mark Whipple at times. So I think that he would be more capable of doing something like that. I just don't know, because Logan Smothers, does he have the arm to be that style of quarterback, or is he? I mean, his best quality is his speed, so you kind of go right back to, well, we probably should run him quite a bit, just not up to that 24 times a game.
I think if you want Logan to be a successful quarterback, you have to have a run game. And with that being said, don't go full Iowa. Do not, please,
never go
full Iowa. But
you don't want to hire Brian Ferentz. No, you weren't disappointed
for a couple reasons. I don't want to hire Brian Ferentz. But no, I think you have to have some sort of running game, consistent running game. I should point that out, because Logan isn't going to be able to beat teams from what we've seen and heard and kind of thought. He's not going to be able to beat teams with his arm, like you just said, right? So it's going to be those intermediate passes, those short passes, and to develop or to open up the play action game, right? You have to have a consistent or a sustainable option on the ground. And having you talk then about taking things off of the quarterback's plate, not having it so quarterback centric. That will that has to involve a running game involving a running back, right? And with that, because when you talk about sustainability again, running Logan Smothers 20 plus times a game, week after week in the Big Ten Conference for his size, for everything like that, it's not sustainable. You can't expect him to stay healthy that whole time either.
Are you okay with not grabbing a running back out of the portal? I know there's been some idea there too, but if Gabe Urban gets healthy, Ramir Johnson's already proven he can be a 1-2 type of combination back. Rather him be the 2 than the 1, right? But I think it, and maybe it's not that way. Maybe he's a little better than Gabe Irvin. Either way, I think that's a 1-2 combination that you can work with. Obviously, Marquise Stepp coming back, Jock Yant potentially could be that guy if you can kind of iron out some of the problems they had with him last year, not always being able to play or whatever it was. But I mean, I think he's got. I think there's a lot of potential in that running back room. You always want to keep kind of pushing to get that all Big Ten back. But I think between the three of them, you got a pretty good running back room, and I don't think that's what would hold Nebraska's rushing attack back. Again, what would hold them back is that offensive line, which Donovan Royal's got a lot to work on there. A lot of big bodies, a lot of guys that were high profile coming into Nebraska, and a lot of guys with starting experience, but not necessarily the cleanest look so far.
I think that's what I would say as well. I would be okay not taking a running back solely because there's a lot of bodies in that room already. And that's with losing Sevion Morrison, right? And so I feel like not taking a running back would be okay, but something's got to give. Something has to happen in that running back room. I don't think, once again, do the same thing over and over, expecting different results is the definition of insanity, right? And when you look at what this staff has done year after year, and I understand Ryan Held's no longer a part of the Huskers coaching staff, but you still have the same guys in that room. So now whoever is the running back coach or in charge of running backs, whether that's Coach Brown, whether that's whoever, something has to give. And I don't know if you can go by the whole committee idea once again, because think about it, and they've admitted it, is that Ramir Johnson was a guy that started 5th on the depth chart. We saw it in their first season. They didn't like Divino Zigbo. And part of that was that then they brought in Greg Bell and things like that. But they didn't like Divino Zigbo, and he went and almost – did he rush for 1,000 that season, or was he close?
Pretty close to it.
I think he was at least close, and he had a good season. He was no doubt Nebraska's best running back in 2018. And he started 3rd on the depth chart or whatever. They never used Michael Wilbon as well. And it's that whole thought of not only in the running back room, but just across the board – assessing and identifying talent and using talent in the correct times in a game.
Not to cut Divine short, by the way, he did get 1,082 yards his senior year, so good for him. I believe he's still jumping around the NFL a little bit, but I mean, it's been a big. I mean, it's been missing a long time. When you go back to the era of, okay, you start with Roy Hello Jr., and then Rex Burkhead bleeds over, and then you get Amir Abdullah. And
one after the other.
Yeah, and just NFL running backs with long tenures that had, impacts, and not just NFL running backs. You sometimes get kind of lost in what they do at the next level, but, all Big Ten type of running backs, all Big 12 in Roy Hello's case, as it was still in that conference. But, yeah, I mean, it's something that's been missing a little bit, and I don't even know, because I started to think back, like, yeah, Divino Zigbo kind of had half a season, but even since then, have they had a Terrell Newby? Have they had somebody, at that level? Well, I'm not sure.
And part of that is having a clear-cut number one, right?
Right.
And
they wanted that. They asked for that. They targeted that going into last year. It just didn't really happen.
So then maybe you do need to think about taking an experienced guy out of the portal, which Marquise Stepp. Right. But then it didn't fit what Nebraska wanted to do on offense to a T. So that's why. And there was some other stuff going on or behind the scenes that we don't know about with Marquise, but he just didn't play a huge role in their offense. Scored the first touchdown of the season, but against Illinois, but did not play a huge role. And it was Ramir Johnson who started 5th on the depth chart. And I understand when I say that, I understand guys unlocking their full potential and then bursting onto the scene. I get that. But the whole idea of the starting 5th on the depth chart, and we've seen it time and time again where they Teddy Prohaska, another example, turns out to be one of your better offensive linemen, doesn't play till week 5, and the only reason he plays is because of injuries. And so there's ways like that that the staff has struggled to identify and assess the talent in their own rooms that they bring in, right? Because this is nobody else's recruiting classes. This is nobody else's transfer portal additions. These got their guys, and they've struggled to identify and assess talent in the 4 years that they've been here.
And off the text line, we do get this that Johnson can be 1,000-yard back if the line would open up holes. He did get to 500 last year. He would be. I mean, I think that it is possible. But he still hasn't had, and he needs a weapon out of the backfield. So don't get too lost into that too, because he had the 100 yards receiving against Michigan. But he hasn't had 100 yards rushing quite yet, and maybe that part of that's not getting the amount of carries. I think his season high was 19. He had 16, 17 here and there, but not consistently over 4 yards per carry. Again, all that goes back to the offensive line really struggled at times, and so that's part of it. So I do think that Ramir Johnson could be 1,000-yard back. I just don't know if he can kind of break that next hurdle, which would be kind of all Big Ten type of running back. Maybe he can, and you don't want to doubt somebody before they get the chance to prove it, but he just doesn't flash quite like an Amir Abdullah has before, and that's asking a lot. It's a second-team All-American, right? But Nebraska eventually has got to get back to having those type of guys.
With that being said, one guy that I would have no problem with Nebraska taking out of the running back transfer portal pool would be Kai Thomas from Minnesota.
Yeah,
true freshman this last season, played because of injuries in their top couple guys, still ran for over 800 and some yards. Part of that, once again, offensive lineman, right? They had all those big dudes on the offensive line. So he transfers out because he has enough film to show off to colleges. We'll see if he gets the love he deserves or thinks he deserves at least. But I would be okay with them taking a guy like that is a proven stat sheet filler at this level.
In the
right?
Big Ten, even.
In the Big
Ten West.
I think that's the great. And Gus says this: the best running back in the room was Sevion Morrison. He'll get 1,200 at Kansas next year. I didn't see it. I'm not sure Sevion should have left Nebraska. I think looking at next year, I have a tough time finding a way that Sevion wouldn't have been involved. Why? Because of what the coaching staff tells us. Now you're saying, Nick, they tell us a lot of things. They tell us they have a great practice every week and they're excited for the Saturday. And I get that. But I would have been shocked if we didn't see Sevion Morrison more next season. Now, where at? Because that means Ramir or Gabe Irvin fell down a little bit.
Or
maybe.
Jock Yant.
Or Jock.
The point is, it's a crowded group. Jock Yant, Marquise Stepp. He might have been fifth in that spot, and that's why he left.
Here's the thing: is week after week, with all those guys in that room, week after week, and I have a weird feeling that next year it's going to be the same situation again. But week after week, we're asking, okay, what running back is going to step up this week? What running back do we think is first in line this week? Because there was no depth chart. It was just, we're going to, every single week, it was the idea of, we're going to hand whoever's the hottest, we're going to hand him the ball. And I just feel, I just don't know how sustainable that is if we're trying to get this Nebraska program back to 8-9 wins. I just don't know how sustainable that is. And we saw sometimes that can take a toll on the quarterback. If they don't know fully who is going to be next to them every single snap, I just think it's hard for Nebraska to continue winning or start winning more when you do the same thing over and over and over again, i.e. running back by committee, and expect it to work.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, that wasn't their goal. Their goal was, and they're trying to inspire guys in camp when they're saying, we want a number one. We want that guy to, but, and they kind of jumbled with who their number one would be. And Marquise Stepp at one time had 100 yards rushing, and then he disappeared. Obviously, Irvin got injured. They kind of settled on Ramir Johnson, and then Jock Yant would pop up here and there. And you can
then disappear.
But I mean, you can force a number. That's my point. Is all those guys were somewhat capable and all seemingly on a similar level. Mm-hmm. You can force a number one if you want. You can act like there's a number one in the room. But if it's not there, then what's the need to? You can get fresh bodies in and get, kind of different looks at guys and their strengths as far as pass protection and catching the ball to the backfield and all that stuff. You kind of work them in there. Let's head to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. We love when you guys add to the discussion. We have Bob on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm good. My question is this: so we bring in a transfer portal quarterback. If you're going to bring a guy in, he's got to play in to be the starter, right?
Yeah, I think that's the hope.
So we get one of these guys you're talking about. Then does Logan Smothers join the portal?
Mm-hmm.
He's been here. He's sat and watched a lot of games. It's. I don't know. I guess that's my question. Does he take off if we bring somebody else in?
I think that there's certainly a possibility he does. With them going to the portal, with them being very public about looking in the portal and having guys come to visit town, it's telling Logan Smothers where he stands. Now they can get him in a room and tell him, kind of different things and try to bring him along, and hopefully they are, because again, I don't think that he's a lost cause or anything. I think you could win games with him if you needed to, but I mean, it's kind of out there. It's public information how they feel about him. Is he for sure your starter? Is he the guy that they want to put it all on in this upcoming season? And they're at least saying not without a veteran coming in here and competing with him, not without some extra room in an extra arm in the quarterback room to try it. So I hope that Logan has had these discussions, and and we haven't heard anything about maybe he's looking around or anything like that. So I hope that he kind of just is self-aware and understands I've started one game. They want to bring in competition. You have to be confident as a quarterback. You don't make it, to the Division I level, just wanting everything handed to you. Certainly in today's modern age, I get the fear that he'll just walk away if you even flirt with the portal. But they're more than flirting with the portal. They're bringing guys into visits. And so if he hasn't wavered, if he hasn't, made the decision to walk away himself, I think he's in on the plan.
I'm not sure that they are going to the portal and finding a starter. When Bob said that, I don't know the answer, because
I think their goal was to,
right? And they pitched that. That's still the pitch, right? And they haven't been able to get anybody.
Right.
And obviously the two names, Casey Thompson and Purdy, whatever. But now we're at a situation where those are the two best options. Let's say they get a guy like Purdy. Bock said it earlier, no experience. Are you willing? Is Scott Frost and the staff in a year that their backs are against the wall, and they are very understanding that their backs are against the wall, right? Are they comfortable in saying, yep, Purdy, you haven't had any experience, but we're gonna bring you in, you're gonna be the starter? And if that's the case, then yeah, Logan Smothers needs to do what's best for him. That's a good way to put it. But also, what I would say what's more concerning is, and Bob kind of alluded to this, Logan Smothers has been here for a couple years. Why isn't he ready to go?
Well,
right.
And it goes with the same thing with the quarterback and the running back discussion. There hasn't been enough development. There hasn't been enough evaluating the talent correctly, or so I mean, with both those things, that's why Verduzco's no longer around. That's why Ryan Held's no longer around. So when we talk about, sometimes you just put it all on Frost and say Frost staff. Well, if you're going to do that, you have to acknowledge they've made those changes. They because of the problems that we're speaking of. So hopefully, with some of those new eyes and brains in the offensive room, you have some of that start to happen, and so the best players will hit the field in before midseason, and the quarterbacks will develop a little bit more. Again, I don't know. It just, to a lot of people, just depends on how you look at it. But Logan Smothers, I thought, looked solid against Iowa. And Iowa's a tough defense. I mean, if you watch the Kentucky game, if you watch them all year long, that's a tough team to score against and move the ball against. And they didn't just, I think that maybe you would have felt better if you had a 75-yard run like Adrian did at times. Yeah. But maybe you should feel better, especially with Whipple and what his offensive idea is that they had long, sustained drives. Mostly in the first half, kind of died down, and that's why it wasn't the game that you go, oh, that's our guy. That's good. But remember, at the end of the first half, remember Husker Twitter? Yeah. It was kind of that idea. Oh, Logan's going to be the guy. This is awesome. He's great. And then the second half plays out, and you go, oh, that's the same Husker football team.
Well, you kind of had to ask him to do more because you lost the lead, right? And I was on that boat of running the guy 22 times, you can't lean on that every single week. It's just not realistic in my eyes to run your quarterback 22 times in probably maybe behind the SEC, the most physical conference in all of college football, right?
Yeah.
And here's what I'll say with Logan Smothers, when we talked to Rashawn and we talked to Jay, on the flip side of the whole why isn't he ready to go in and the transfer portal? He should want to stay, because now he can assess this room and say, the guys that they're bringing in, Casey Thompson or Chuba Purdy, whichever one, if it's one of those two, I feel like I'm better than him. He should want to stay. And if not, then that's a problem with Nebraska and the culture.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Let's we've been talking about the portal. Let's talk more about the portal with Barry Trammell. He's got an interesting thing going down there in Norman. Caleb Williams off, Spencer Rattler off, Dylan Gabriel in. A lot of stuff to talk about with Barry Trammell of the Oklahoma, and that's coming up next here on the Block with Strick and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is your high school minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Hines. Over the holiday break, Lincoln Northeast secured the Heartland Athletic Conference Tournament Championship over Lincoln Pius X, 51-48. Gattner for Northeast led all scorers with 19. The undefeated Lincoln Northeast Rockets now sit at 9-0, and Lincoln Pius sits at 6-3. For the girls, Fremont would walk away with the championship, also beating Lincoln Pius X, 59-47. McGabe for Fremont led all scorers with 20. Fremont now leads the Class A girls by power points in the NSAA rankings with a record of 7-1. Lincoln Pius sits at 4th with a record of 7-2. In the Shelby Rising City Wrestling Invitational, Grant Wells from Lincoln Lutheran won the 126 championship weight class by decision in a match versus Mosel from Plainview, who was previously undefeated. Lincoln Lutheran would finish 9th out of 12 teams. In the Bennington duels, Lincoln East would finish 1st as a team out of 10. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure, you were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already in our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com. Proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Sponsored by SAMHSA and Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season. Enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
This is On the Block with Strick and Bock here on 93.7 The Ticket, and we are having fun trying to talk about the portal, how the Huskers are going to deal with it. Certainly a team that has had a lot of experience already in the portal is Oklahoma with additions and subtractions. And so we're bringing on Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman to kind of discuss all the happenings in Norman over the last couple of weeks or so, I guess the last month or so. Barry, welcome on. Hope you're having a good day.
Glad to do it. How are things in Nebraska?
Oh, they're not too bad. It's a little bit cold, to be honest,
cold.
but that's the winter. We got to expect that, I suppose. I did want to ask you about your tweet regarding Caleb Williams before we get into it. I thought it was a very interesting point. You said, "Don't be angry about Caleb Williams. His school is leaving the Big 12 over money. His coach left to USC to make $10 million a year. Williams is merely exhibiting what he's been taught." Can you kind of run through those thoughts?
Yeah, when college football's a mess. I think we can all agree on that. But everybody seems to want the players to be the ones who sacrifice and hold up some integrity and some stability with the sport. But it's everybody else that's gone cuckoo long before the players. I mean, the players didn't invent conference realignment. They didn't invent coaches jumping their contracts. They didn't invent firing coaches in the middle of the year. They didn't do any of that. They're just responding to what's around them. So when players opt out of bowl games, or when players declare early for the NFL draft, or players enter the transfer portal, they're just doing what everybody else taught them to do. So, if the sport needs fixing, I think it's wrong to ask the players to fix it. They're not the ones that broke it. So the adults who have put us in this mess, they're the ones that need to fix it.
I think that's a good point, but it's certainly been an interesting time there in Norman. I mean, there's so many questions to go through there. Is Caleb Williams returning to Norman now out of the question now that Dylan Gabriel's committed, at least on Twitter?
I don't think it's out of the question.
I think it's unlikely. Most guys who enter the portal don't return. When you're sort of replaced 4 hours after you enter the portal, that's a pretty good sign that the Sooners don't think you're coming back. Dylan Gabriel, I don't thinks he's coming back. He still could, and Dylan Gabriel, heck, until he goes to class, he could change his mind again. But it just seems unlikely. Caleb Williams came to OU to play for Lincoln Riley. He was recruited by Shane Beamer. Both of those guys now are gone. And, I don't know what will happen, but it seems unlikely that he would return. You throw in the NIL, and it's a free agency bidding war. Can't blame Caleb Williams if he wants to cash in on that bonanza. So I think it's unlikely. The Sooners are, in pretty good shape that they found a replacement so quickly and so readily. But, Dylan Gabriel is not as good as Caleb Williams, but he's a pretty good country quarterback. So you just go on down the road and rebuild under Brent Venables.
Barry, I want to just ask, what's it been like this offseason? Because it kind of just started, but for you guys, a lot has happened. I mean, Lincoln Riley leaves kind of abruptly, and then, now you lose a quarterback, but then you get a quarterback, and you have wide receivers entering the portal, and Hazelwood's gone, and now Mario Mims, I believe, entered yesterday. I mean, first of all, what's it been like? And then what's the outlook? What's the confidence level going into next season?
Well, it's been crazy. Something new happens, every 6 hours.
Yeah.
With somebody leaving or coming or whatever the case may be. Oklahoma's sort of been a bastion of stability. Bob Stoops or his lieutenant's been in charge for 22 years. And Oklahoma's had wild success and lots of victories. I just saw a deal today. In the 21st century, Oklahoma leads the college football in victories. So they're used to, they're accustomed to high success and sort of things being even keeled. And now it's, chaos, total chaos. Now, the mindset of the fan base is confidence, as always. The hiring of Brent Venables certainly fortified people. Somebody that gets back to the house of Stoops, worked for Bob all those years. Of course, Lincoln Riley was the house of Stoops, but he was a little bit of a carpetbagger, brought in. Venables was here from the start in 1999. Of course, has the great national reputation over the last 10 years with Dabo down at Clemson. So everybody's excited, putting on a good face. But the truth is the Sooners likely will take a step back in 23. OU's had 2 lost seasons, 7 straight years. They've either been 12-2, 11-2, or 10-2. The last 7 seasons. Not likely to happen next year. They're losing a lot of people to the draft. Now they're losing people to the portal. I assume they'll grab some guys out of the portal, but so far the negative or the return is negative. Mm-hmm. So they could be in for some comeuppance here in the 2022 season in Brent Venables' first year. It's not going to be easy. Schedule's not overly tough. They get their 2 chief conference opponents in Norman, so that'll help. But a lot of confidence, but it's probably misplaced at this point.
Walk us through what Bob Stoops means to people in Oklahoma, especially Norman. I mean, the guy comes out of retirement, wins the Alamo Bowl in convincing fashion, and it has no problem doing it. What does Bob Stoops mean to Oklahoma?
Well, I don't think Bob knew this was the case. I don't think the fans knew this was the case because he's not a touchy-feely guy. He's not Barry Switzer that makes everybody feel good just when he walks in the room. He's everybody's friend. He knows everybody's name. That's not Stoops' persona. But, when Bob Stoops retired, he didn't retire to Miami Beach or he didn't retire to Malibu. He just retired to his house here on I-35 in Norman. And he stuck around. His son joined the team and played. And when Lincoln Riley fired Mike Stoops, Bob didn't get outwardly mad or upset. He stayed in there. And then, when chaos hits, Stoops comes in and says, I'll be the interim coach. That doesn't sound like that tough of a deal. And just starts talking, and everybody immediately felt relief and comfort because they hearkened back to December 1st, 1998, when Stoops was hired. And he said, this place is a sleeping giant. He said, this place ought to be winning, and we're going to win. There's no excuses. We're going to get these guys in shape, and we're going to start winning now. And, it wasn't, it was confidence. It wasn't cockiness. Maybe some people thought it was, but it was more of just a confident air. And he maintained that throughout his 18 years as coach. And then here he comes back and he's got it again. And everybody just immediately felt better. Heck, he's on the radio yesterday talking about Caleb Williams leaving. And just makes everybody feel better, saying, listen, this is what we all expected. We talked with his family about it. We knew this was a possibility, and we were ready for it. So he just got this calming influence on people. And it goes back to what they saw out of him 22 years ago and how he delivered on those promises.
That's kind of funny. Sounds like a guy around here, Tom Osborne. Yeah. If there's ever anything stirring around, he'll calm him down.
I thought of that. You know what? When you asked me the question, I thought, maybe I should throw out the Osborne reference. I don't know enough about what Tom did on his many returns to trying to bail out the Huskers, but probably a whole lot like that because, Osborne's not a touchy-feely guy or, any either. But, man, I assume Nebraskans sure they just feel better knowing he's around and knowing he was around and knowing they could count on him. And that's sort of what it is with Stoops.
Was there any discussion, do you think, or idea that Bob Stoops might return as the coach? Because there's been ideas outside, maybe, from other programs that eventually, but I mean, if Oklahoma opened up and he decided not to go back there, I don't think he's going to return to coaching anytime soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody asked him, but I'm also sure he said no pretty quick. He doesn't want 2 a.m. phone calls. He's tired of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want. Let me tell you what. If he was interested, the portal and the NIL will cured him of it real quick. I can promise you that. He likes X's and O's, and he likes talking to the players, and he likes the camaraderie with coaches. But he doesn't want all of this social media stuff. He doesn't want NIL nonsense. He doesn't want to hear that his Heisman Trophy quarterback has entered the portal. That's not the kind of life he's interested in living, and he doesn't have to live it anymore. So he's settling into his role as, Barry Switzer's 84 now, and somebody needs to be coach emeritus and just make everybody feel better. And Stoops seems to be enjoying it. I don't know if he would admit that. The day after he was hired as interim coach or named interim coach, a bunch of fans went and put flowers around his statue, which they put up a statue of Stoops along with Bud Wilkinson and Switzer and Benny Owen a few years ago. And Stoops was on the radio the next day and he was laughing about it. Says, "Hey, tell him I'm not dead." So, he's having a good time with it. So I think he's pretty content with what he's doing.
Well, and it will be cool for him, maybe just to kind of, hang around the program with, like you said, his former guy, Brent Venables there. It's interesting. I think that probably calms Sooner Nation to get Venables. He's been not just, on the field, but in pay, one of the top defensive coordinators across the country for the better, almost 2 decades now. What do you think that made, kind of click for him to finally want to try to take that next step as head coach?
Well, I don't know. He's been awfully picky. He turned down Auburn last year. And Auburn's probably a top 15 job.
Yeah.
So I was starting to think he just didn't want to be a head coach. But he, when Oklahoma calls, Oklahoma's a top 5 job. So he was very, he's very content. This is a guy, he's 50 now. I know we all think of Brent Venables as eternally young. When he was at K-State playing Nebraska, the Huskers will remember that. And then when he was at OU and playing the Huskers, Nebraskans will remember the idea of, those veins popping out of his neck and yelling at the defense. He seemed to be 32 years old his whole life. But the truth is he's 50 now, and he's got incredible experience. He had 8 years with Bill Snyder in Manhattan. Then he had, 13 years in Norman with Bob Stoops. And now he's had 10 years at Clemson with Dabo Swinney. That's unbelievable experience around big-time successful coaches. And, a whole lot of assistant coaches with lots of experience at different places have jumped around. So this is different. I mean, he's stable, but he also has vast, widespread experience. So in many ways, he's the perfect coach if somebody wants a coach. And the Oklahoma model, as Nebraskans know this better than anybody, OU's model has always been to hire an assistant coach. They haven't hired, since 1936, they've hired one sitting head coach, and that was Howard Schnellenberger. That's the only time they've ever hired a head coach. In 1942, Jim Tatum was the head coach at North Carolina. OU hired him in 46, so he had at least 1 year of head coaching experience. But OU always hires a young assistant. That's what they always do. Bob Stoops, Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer, Chuck Fairbanks, Lincoln Riley. That's just what they do. The difference is most of those guys were in their 30s. Maybe all of them, now that I think about it. Brent Venables was 50. So in some ways, he's the best of both worlds. Doesn't mean he's going to be successful. I think he probably will be, but you never know. But he fits the Oklahoma model.
Barry, real quickly, what is Sooners Nation's thoughts on Lincoln Riley right now? Has it kind of subsided? Because we talked to a guy on my show from down there, Chris Plank, right after Lincoln Riley left for USC. Has it kind of subsided, or is it still, a little frustration, a little annoyed?
Oh, yeah, no, I would say he ranks. I would say Lincoln Riley ranks between, I don't know, Stalin and Gaddafi, maybe in popularity in Oklahoma. A whole lot of people won't say his name; they just call him by his hometown, Muleshoe. So,
wow.
Yeah, he's not. He's persona non grata, and let me tell you what, we may have another Okie migration west, people with swords and torches, if Caleb Williams goes to USC. I don't think that's going to happen because I've been told that the Williams family was as upset with Lincoln as anybody.
Ooh.
But if he were to go to USC, oh my goodness, there would be some attempted homicides, I'm sure.
Wow.
Now I'm really hoping for Oklahoma and USC to match up in a bowl game next year. Before we go, I did one more question. Obviously, Nebraska is playing Oklahoma next year, so that will be exciting. But I just wanted to ask you, was it kind of awkward this year? We're still kind of waiting for the move to the SEC. When that will happen? Was it kind of awkward, or did that kind of subside once the other stuff kind of popped up? And obviously, once you get on the field, it's just guys hitting each other.
Well, it was a little awkward. It wasn't at the games. It really wasn't too awkward. Now Baylor and Oklahoma State both beat the Sooners, and they enjoyed the heck out of it. But let's be honest, they'd have enjoyed the heck out of it if OU wasn't headed to the SEC, because it doesn't happen very often. So in the conference boardroom, very awkward. Conference regulations and policies, it's sort of a mess. The schedule is going to be a total mess here. In 2023, we could have, it's possible the Big 12 could have 9 teams, 11 teams, or 14 teams. So, and that's just, heck, that's 20 months away.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know. It's just a mess. So it's leading to some situations, but the Big 12's had success. The truth is, since they announced, nothing much has gone good for OU or Texas, and a whole lot's gone good for the Big 12. So it's hard to stay too mad when things are going pretty well. If that reverses, maybe it changes, but things are going okay for the other Big 12 remnants.
Yeah, certainly fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff all around. That's why we had to have you on, Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman, my favorite voice from down in Norman. Thank you for joining us today, Barry.
You bet. See you guys later.
All right, there he goes, Barry Tremmel of the Oklahoman. Lots of interesting tidbits and stuff to. And man, it would be crazy. I love Lincoln radio. Don't get me wrong, but this month in Norman radio would be fire.
That's what I was really curious if the attitude towards Lincoln Riley subsided, but it has not. I love it. I love it. It has not subsided.
And it's interesting because I don't know if Nebraska's had that. I mean, nobody's done quite what Lincoln Riley did, but have that level of hate toward one of their former guys. I mean, a guy that's brought to them playoffs, got Heisman Trophy winners underneath him. But I do understand the frustration.
Well, it just shows what out of the blue move it was.
Oh yeah,
and nobody knew.
No,
nobody knew. Even his wife. I remember the clip. Even his wife was telling the guys, the media members down there, like, yeah, we're glad that this whole Lincoln Riley to LSU thing is over. I'm glad it's over. And then the next night or the next day, the next morning, here we come,
like the day after
Southern
Bedlam.
California.
Crazy stuff. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Husker women's basketball getting their big win last night. I wanted to ask you because you were there. So we'll get to that next here on the Block with Strick and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com. This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Hines. Over the holiday break, Lincoln Northeast secured the Heartland Athletic Conference Tournament Championship over Lincoln Pius X, 51-48. Gardner for Northeast led all scorers with 19. The undefeated Lincoln Northeast Rockets now sit at 9-0, and Lincoln Pius sits at 6-3. For the girls, Fremont would walk away with the championship, also beating Lincoln Pius X, 59-47. McGabe for Fremont led all scorers with 20. Fremont now leads the Class A girls by power points in the NSAA rankings with a record of 7-1. Lincoln Pius sits at 4th with a record of 7-2. In the Shelby Rising City Wrestling Invitational, Grant Wells from Lincoln Lutheran won the 126 championship weight class by decision in a match versus Mosel from Plainview, who was previously undefeated. Lincoln Lutheran would finish 9th out of 12 teams. In the Bennington duels, Lincoln East would finish 1st as a team out of 10. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air's motto is our family serving yours. That starts with how we hire. We go through an extensive interview process to really get to know you and show you who we are. We want to help you build a great career, be challenged, have fun, and bring home an excellent weekly paycheck. We offer competitive wages with benefits, including a day off for your birthday. Apply to be a part of the John Henry's family at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you.
all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkhemp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Our next shot of cold Arctic air has arrived. We only top out at around 14 today with a north wind at 15 to 20. It will feel below zero for much of the day as a wind chill advisory will be in effect. Could see some light snow this evening. We'll drop down to 2 below overnight and only see a high of around 11 for tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great. We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers is all about the good and creating more of it. More drive-through celebrations, more weekend traditions, more family dinners and lunches, more car picnics and road trips, more desserts, maybe more second desserts. More celebrating being together as much as we can. There's always room for more good and more Freddy's. Keep the good going with a taste that brings you back.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and Grandma's Fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
We are back here on the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Jake Bockovin, and Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet Eric Strickland set to join us here in about 10 minutes. But we will wrap out the first hour of the Ticket Water Cooler with Nick Sainert of the Happy Hour. Nick, thanks for joining me again for this hour. It's been a fun hour. If you missed the Barry Trammell interview there from the Oklahoman, you're going to check that out on our podcast page. Very interesting stuff, and maybe a little bit of insight where Caleb Williams is not going. If you have
USC,
maybe not USC.
That leaves the door open for Nebraska.
That means that gets cross them off the list. Nebraska moved up from 75th to 74th as the most likely team landing spot for Caleb Williams. But I did want to get to this, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it with Strick as well. Husker women's basketball, absolutely huge win last night. That means the Husker women's or the Husker athletic department overall isn't cursed. We found out last night as Nebraska beat Michigan 79-58. That's number 8 Michigan, by the way. Nebraska improves to 13-1 overall, 2-1 in the Big Ten, and to do it in blowout fashion was pretty sweet as well. It's the first top 10 win for the Huskers under Amy Williams, the first one, in fact, since 2014 for Nebraska. So it was a big win. And, you know, Nebraska kind of had this undefeated non-con season, of course, dropped a game at the beginning of conference play, but never quite got the respect I think many Husker basketball fans wished because they weren't included in the top 25. Well, throw that out. They're going to join the top 25 now. They've earned it, beating a top 10 team.
Well, and they're going to have another opportunity on Sunday when number 22 Iowa comes to town, and Caitlin Clark, one of the nation's best scorers. But yeah, no, really, really impressive game last night. I said it on my show, and I'll say it again for anybody that just now kind of is tuning in or doesn't want to listen to the Happy Hour, whichever one. No, it's okay. Anyway, Nebraska, they started off really, really well defensively, right? We always talk about when it comes to Husker men's basketball is complete games, okay, consistency, things like that. Well, every single game, Nebraska women's basketball is staying consistent, whether that's playing defense, whether that's shooting well from beyond the arc, or just doing a little combination of both. Well, last night was the combination of both. At the beginning of the game, they played exceptional defense in the first quarter. They led 19-8 after 10 minutes of play. They forced Michigan to shoot 3 of 14 from the field in the first quarter, which is good for 21%, right, at home. Then you talk about closing out a game, especially when you're playing the 8th best team in the nation. They don't allow a single field goal from Michigan in the last 3 minutes and 30-some seconds of play. And Nebraska closes the door by finishing 6 of their last 8 shooting from the field. They hit 6 of their last 8 field goals. So when you talk about these things, the little things, right? Completing games, finishing out, stepping on the neck when a team is down or when you are up big on a program, they did it last night. And like you said, Bock, it's their first win since I think I tweeted out December 3rd of 2014 when they beat number 9 Duke 60-54. And Rachel Theriot was the leading scorer for that one.
Oh, I forgot. That's
Rachel Theriot.
Nice name drop there.
And so Rachel Theriot she led with 17. I think Emily Cady, the Seward native, had some like 5-6 rebounds. Anyway, yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
it was cool.
Nice,
but it was interesting. You forget some of the players that played for him, but either way, Nebraska women's basketball, it was really good how they responded after a loss against Michigan State, the first game that they were really tested, right? Because that one knock has been that they haven't played formidable opponents, right? Or strong opponents. And despite them beating the teams that they beat in non-conference slate in convincing fashion, it's good to get a win like this under your belt. Now they get to go do it again. And then after Iowa, they go to Indiana, which is another top 10 program. And then, hey, guess what? You get Iowa again at Iowa. So these next 3 games, really, really important. And I kind of pleaded to Husker Nation on my show, but Sunday, 1 p.m., cheap tickets, have a good atmosphere. The atmosphere last night was really, really fun for an 8 p.m. tip-off for a Husker women's basketball game as well.
And like you said, 3 more games against top 25 opponents coming up. And I know they needed to win, 1, maybe 2 of those in that stretch to kind of get that respect. But to get the first one is it kind of gets the pressure off of them and proves they're one of the top 25, 20, 15 teams in the nation. We'll see how far they jump up depending on how they do the next game.
And something that I forgot to say to you, Bock, they did it without Bella Cravens. Yeah. And they did it without Ruby Porter, which is a big role player off the bench for Amy Williams' squad. So they did that last night. They beat the number 8 team in the country, Michigan, 79-58 without one of their starters. So Alexis Markowski filled in really, really well.
Yeah, talk about taking advantage of the opportunity.
Exactly. Drops 20 and 6 last night. And you're without one of your key role players off the bench in Ruby Porter. And so really, really impressive finish last night for Nebraska. And they get to do it again on Sunday. Hopefully, the men, we're rounding out, I won't be able to talk anymore. The men, hopefully, they're able to stay close against Michigan State tonight, and maybe pull out a win so that you have a good post-game show, Bob.
That's right. We got a post-game show. This show, of course, leading you right up to tip-off there. But when we come back, we'll talk a lot about Husker basketball and some other ideas that we've talked about so far with Eric Strickland. I always just say the Husker Hall of Famer, the longtime NBA vet. He's got so many titles that I need to use, like Big 8 Freshman of the Year. How about that? From 1993. Eric Strickland joining us next.
Sometimes years out, so the powers that be won't let me get my ideas out, and that make me want to get my...
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Koppel, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at koppelcars.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Our next shot of cold Arctic air has arrived. We only top out at around 14 today with a north wind at 15 to 20. It will feel below zero for much of the day as a wind chill advisory will be in effect. Could see some light snow this evening. We'll drop down to 2 below overnight and only see a high of around 11 for tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers is all about the good and creating more of it. More drive-through celebrations, more weekend traditions, more family dinners and lunches, more road trips, more desserts, more celebrating being together as much as we can. There's always room for more good and more Freddy's. Keep the good going with a taste that brings you back.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air's motto is our family serving yours. That starts with how we hire. We go through an extensive interview process to really get to know you and show you who we are. We want to help you build a great career, be challenged, have fun, and bring home an excellent weekly paycheck. We offer competitive wages with benefits, including a day off for your birthday. Apply to be a part of the John Henry's family at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com. Proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Welcome back to On the Block. Well, we got some reverberation there. Going to work on something there. But hey, Rico, could you come help me? I don't know if he can hear me. Anyway, we have a problem here with the sound. It's going. Just need a button click there so we can bring Strick in. But this is On the Block with Strick and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket. And we will bring in Eric Strickland, the Husker Hall of Famer, and of course, longtime NBA veteran. I have an echo, is what I need a little help with there. Must have not pushed the right button there. See if that works. In any case, this is On the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Jake Bockoven. Eric Strickland again set to join us here in a second. And I wanted to bring this up because we didn't really mention it, and it doesn't often get mentioned when there's a guy, non-scholarship player, added to the Husker football team. But this is a scholarship baseball player that will be added to the Husker football team. Nebraska baseball signee Mikey Pauley was in Kansas, was the Kansas Max Preps Football Player of the Year for 2021. He was offered a football scholarship by both Kansas State and Kansas. He plays quarterback, but he decided instead to play baseball with the Cornhuskers. Obviously, a big prospect there. So there's a potential another arm in the room for the quarterback discussion. Maybe will be overlooked for a while as he's just a young player, but you could do worse than adding a Kansas Player of the Year out of the baseball room. I think that's a pretty cool. Strick, can you hear me? Well, we're having problems here in Strick now. So we will keep talking, maybe see if we can hear you. No, we just still can't hear Strick. So again, we're gonna have the producers work on that here. It's kind of interesting. Because I did want to ask Strick once we can get a hold of him, is that he also had some decisions to make coming out of high school, whether he was going to play. He was.
What
drafted.
about now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I think what happened was some reason my speaker wasn't muted, my microphone, but for some reason the streamline was muted. So I saw it and I was, hey, I'm here.
All right. Well, we figured it out. Again, this is the first week of On the Block with Strick and Bock, so we're working out some kinks, but now we've got them. That's the important thing. Were you able to hear me? What I was kind of opening up with, Mikey Pauley, the Kansas Max Preps Football Player of the Year. He's signed as a baseball commit for Nebraska, so it's kind of first and foremost baseball, but he's also going to try to play football at Nebraska for the quarterback room, and he's actually offered football scholarships by Kansas State and Kansas, being an in-state kid there. So that could factor into the discussion. But I just wanted to kind of get into that kid's mind, and I know that you would be a good guy to ask because you were a multi-sport athlete drafted by Major League Baseball. What kind of went into your decision as you were, I'm sure you had kind of thoughts of maybe you could play both sports at the college level or, go to the Major League Baseball. Just kind of what went through your decision at that time?
Well, at that time it was, it was pretty tough, but a decision to make. But at the end of the day, it was a realization that the sports overlap too much. You're talking about 100 plus games in baseball, and then you're talking about 30, 40 in college or whatever, depending on how far you go. 30 games, 30 something at my time. It wasn't as many as they're playing now, but I had to weigh it out from the standpoint of I only played 1 year and it ended up working out, getting drafted. And so, I just had to weigh my options and see, how it was going to fare and scratch that itch. Similar to when I went out to spring practice for football, just to scratch the itch to see if the drive was there. But obviously my focus and my heart was with basketball, even though football was my best sport. So I can see him looking at it from a standpoint because it's a lot easier with football and baseball because you don't play as many games. So, but at the position though that he's looking to play, that could be very difficult because it's going to require a lot of study, a lot of being in that book. He's probably a very studious kid and probably could do it. You know what I mean? But it's really tough. And when you're talking about the competitive edge that you lose, trying to cross over in either of the sports. And that's one of my coaches came to me and just basically said, hey, we want to move you up. We want to send you to AA, but it's going to require you to play full season of spring training. It's going to require you winter ball. It's going to require a lot of different things in order to move up. As I was a top 10 prospect for the organization at that time. So It's probably going to come to a head at some point. He'll probably be able to do it initially, but at some point it's going to come to a head. It's going to be too difficult, especially with the position. I would say if he was playing like linebacker or cornerback or safety or something like that, you could probably do it. But a lot of stuff to pick up when you're talking about quarterback. It requires a lot of film work, study work, knowing that offense big, knowing your check downs, knowing your audibles, it's a lot when you're talking about a quarterback.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Maybe just like you said, maybe just scratching an itch, maybe wanting to get maybe 1 year or something in there. And who knows, maybe he'll ultimately decide he wants to play football. You never know what's going to happen.
No, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, right? Because you look at Kyler Murray, you look at you look at I think Russell Wilson. You know, a lot of those guys. I mean, I could go. There's others as well. They were able to do it, and they were able to do it from that position. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm not saying it's not possible. I just think it gets more and more difficult when you're looking at that particular position. You know, I mean, you have to be a really special kid, and you just look at Kyler Murray, and he's a Heisman Trophy winner, and you look at Russell Wilson, who is possibly a potential Hall of Famer, with the career he's had.
Yeah, and of course, then other guys who can point to Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson. I think those guys fit into the category of pretty special players as well.
No question. Deion was like me. He was, a lot of people don't know, my ex-wife was his first wife. So we, we're kind of connected, his children were my stepchildren. So, we communicated. And the funny thing about Deion is that Deion, he would tell me, he would say he loves basketball. So when we sit down and talk, he wants to talk basketball. He loves basketball. Just happened to be great at football. And then I tell him, I'm like, man, I love football. And so I want to talk football. And so we have good engaging conversations when we're able to talk.
I've heard you say that a few times, that football was your, did you say favorite or best sport?
It was my best sport. It was definitely my best sport. That was the sport that I was most gifted at. Even though I played wide receiver, I was probably ahead of my time. You know what I mean? I ran great routes. I had great hands. I could catch anything that was thrown in my area. I just didn't have the speed, that most. So I would have been like a very good hybrid. The hybrids that they have now, the Jimmy Grahams, the rest in peace, Aaron Hernandez types, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. The Niles Pauls. I would have been one of those type of hybrids, but I was ahead of my time. They didn't really have that, back then. There weren't, maybe could have said Antonio Gates type or something like that, but I wasn't big enough to do that. So actually I probably was best at defense. I definitely would have been a great outside linebacker or, strong safety, Steve Atwater type safety from back then. Cam, what was Cam's name with the Legend of Boom?
You know
Thomas. What I'm talking about? Cameron, the big safety they used to have.
Cam Chancellor, yeah.
Cam Chancellor. Yeah, I would have been one of those types, if I would have stayed in the defensive side.
And you did mention too that you tried out one spring. Was it? It's kind of funny because I've already talked about was Foreman there when you were trying out for the team?
Yeah.
Talk about with them. Did you try out with the linebacker room or were you defense?
Nah, that was the craziest thing, right? I didn't have a playbook or anything. They put me on the first team as a wing back, and they would tell me go in motion, run post corner, run a dig, running a post. They would tell me what to do, and so I would run with the first team, made some plays. But then I think Coach Nee, told me and got a couple calls, and he was like, if you want to be on the basketball court, you might want to get off that field. So
yeah, a little bit of injury. Can get some injuries out there. It can change the basketball season. So I suppose that's fair enough. It's always fun to run over some of your experiences from your playing days, because they're very interesting and easy to forget what a dynamic athlete you were, that you could have played so many of those different sports. We were mentioning Husker basketball last night, especially women's basketball. We'll get into Husker men's basketball. You and I have a post-game show. Hopefully we will be just as happy in our post-game show as Husker fans were last night watching the women take down Michigan State 79-58. The first top 10 win for Husker women's basketball since 2014. I just wanted to ask you, do you think this is a start of a pretty good run for the Huskers? Because last year, I think they beat 5 top 25 teams, kind of struggled to beat a team, kind of played down to competition. This far this year, they haven't played down to competition. Now they get their shot at a giant, so to speak, in the top 10 team, and they take them down, and that not just take them down, blow them out.
I mean, they actually talked about just being kind of disrespected, being 12-0, coming into the game against Michigan State. Had a tough loss. I mean, you're a young team. You're going on your first Big Ten test on the road, and then you find yourself in a hostile environment, down a little adversity, down 13. Your best players not playing very well, and then all of a sudden you have your young players that are there for a reason, to learn, to grow. You build a lot of unity and camaraderie in the adversity, and they did, and they learned from it. I'm sure applied a lot of what they learned out of that game, what they could have done better, some of the things, maybe some of the shots that were taking, understanding that they just missed them that night. They're not a bad team. It's something that happens. I know they had probably a good talk in the locker room with regards to this is one game. It's over. You get a chance to redeem yourself in less than a week, and it's going to be a big one. It's going to be rowdy and Pinnacle. So come back energized and ready, and you blow out the number 8 team. I mean, that's a phenomenal feat. I think they'll definitely jump into the top 25 now. They'll get the respect that they need, but you can't start smelling yourself too good. You can't throw on that, that cologne or that perfume and start thinking you're smelling good. And you got an Iowa team that's a top 25 team as well that's coming in. That's the beautiful thing about it. You get 2 good ones at home. You win those. You're raising the bar, and you're making noise in the Big Ten.
What is the standard kind of idea for, when you're playing in conference, you have 3 or 4, you have 3 days, you got to play somebody else. Do you celebrate that night and get to practice the next day? I mean, is that kind of the idea, or just maybe on the plane ride home, you don't even get to celebrate? Coach is already telling you about next game.
I mean, yeah, I think you get a chance to look at it. I think they found something in Alexis Markowski, coming off of last game, a 6'3" freshman who is, has some very good upside with her. Jazz Shelley redeemed herself coming back, but they found something. I mean, they found a good core of people to, do what they need to do in order to be successful in the Big Ten. And yeah, you enjoy it. You come home, but then, you probably get a day off because you had almost 6 days, maybe, or 5 days. So you probably come home, you get a day off, you'll enjoy yourself, get back to class and then get back to work. And I think that's what they did.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, as we mentioned, they have plenty of tough games ahead of them. Still 2 top 25 opponents in the form of Iowa twice, though. So in their next 3 games, they play 3 of those top 25 opponents. Again, 2 of them being Iowa. Let's go to Husker, Nebraska, or I should say Nebraska Husker men's basketball tonight. They take on Michigan State, and of course from the Breslin Center in East Lansing, and Michigan State is a team that preseason, obviously last year didn't live up to maybe the Spartan way. Preseason wasn't expected to be top 25, but you look at their numbers coming into this game, they're just outstanding. I mean, they averaged darn near 17 assists a game. They shoot about 40% from beyond the arc, and they're very, and they have 2 guys that average like over 4.5 assists. And then, they just have so many different ways that they can attack you. You think Nebraska basketball can play this Michigan State team and you hate to say close because you know that's not the goal. The goal is to get a victory eventually. But my point is that there was a little bit of optimism that Nebraska played Ohio State, top 15 team, close their last time out, rather than the blowout losses that they had to Michigan and Auburn, where they looked overmatched. Do you think this game against Michigan State is a game that they can play close and perhaps get the win?
Let's be honest. Michigan State has won 7 straight. I think they're hungry. I don't think that they're going to overlook this Nebraska team. I believe they're looking at the film work. They played Northwestern. Northwestern actually played them pretty well, 73-67 loss on Sunday. And then, even had the Spartan down 33-26 at the break. So it was something for them to go in there and play the way that Northwestern did. The things, though, to take a look at, though, with Northwestern is that they shot 30%, including 1 for 10 from 3-point range. So if I'm Nebraska, I'm really focused on, because they're a pretty good defensive team. So I'm very focused on making sure we're getting good possessions, good shots, not turning the ball over. You don't want to do that on the road. On the road, you want to make sure you're solid in everything that you do. Your execution is crisp. Your defense and your responsibilities are crisp because, as you stated, Michigan State shot the ball very well. And they shoot the ball very well from 3. And that's been a problem for Nebraska. When teams, they're not talking, they're not communicating, you're leaving guys and they pass the ball. So that's been a trouble for Nebraska teams, with teams that have these type of pedigrees within their systems, which is to move the ball, pass the ball. It doesn't stay in one person's hand. They make great decisions with that, and they shoot the ball well. So that's going to be the thing that if Nebraska makes sure that they're crisp in their game plan and what they're doing with their communication, then they'll have a chance.
Yeah, and hopefully they get that done. Again, that game is at 6 p.m., a tip-off there on BTN, so I won't go anywhere. I'll just stay and watch it from the station, I think, and stick around for the post-game show. Myself and Eric Strickland set to do that once again. We'll get more into that basketball game, including kind of talking about potential role changes. We obviously saw Alonzo Verge sit out much of that second half against Ohio State. Could that bleed over into this game? We'll talk about that as well as some other ideas. The Washington football name our Washington football team has their name change semifinalists kind of down, so we'll run through some of those. Also talk about perhaps Jim Harbaugh off to the NFL, if that would make sense at this time. We'll hit all that next here on the Block with Strick and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air's motto is our family serving yours. That starts with how we hire. We go through an extensive interview process to really get to know you and show you who we are. We want to help you build a great career, be challenged, have fun, and bring home an excellent weekly paycheck. We offer competitive wages with benefits, including a day off for your birthday. Apply to be a part of the John Henry's family at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers is all about the good and creating more of it. More drive-through celebrations, more weekend traditions, more family dinners and lunches, more car picnics and road trips, more desserts, maybe more second desserts. More celebrating being together as much as we can. There's always room for more good and more Freddy's. Keep the good going with a taste that brings you back.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you, all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything that is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkimp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
We're back here on the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Eric Strickland, and we are running through some Husker basketball topics and a little bit of news here to report out from the athletic department. Actually, is that masks will be required once again at Husker basketball games or any indoor Husker event. Of course, the COVID-19 dial is back up to the red in Lincoln. I don't know if you saw that. So hopefully it's not a here we go again type of scenario for too long, but I think maybe the right move made there for Husker athletics. And it's obviously not fun, but we're all going to try to get through COVID-19 once again, hopefully together. Eric Strickland, of course, joining us here. This is his show. I'm Jake Bockoven as well, or our show, I should say. And we wanted to take maybe talk a little more Husker basketball since I did tease it. I did want to bring up the point guard situation that we were talking about last night. I think for most people looking at what happened in this last game, where Kobe Webster obviously took more of the minutes in the second half from Alonzo Verge, expect that to be kind of situational. If Walker gets or if Kobe Webster gets going, then maybe he'll take that spot. But I also thought that they experimented a little bit with both those guys in the lineup, and I think that maybe that could be a potential answer moving forward too. What do you think, Strick?
Yeah, I think what you're going to do is you're going to see them run with who's going to start. You know, definitely a Verge will start. We'll see how he goes. The thing about that is that you hope that he takes the approach of being a leading point guard, understanding as to what Coach Hoiberg wants and the staff wants out of him, and then taking those moments and those opportunities. I think with regards to Verge, the best thing for him is to use the fast break opportunities or the push probe opportunities as opportunities for him, and use the half court as opportunities for setup. I think if he took that approach and that mentality, it would bode better for him and it would limit the opportunities for Webster to overtake the position, but yet be a complementary to the position. And I think that's the mindset I would take. I would use the fast break as an opportunity to get to the basket, because there you don't have defenses set up. What you're going to find in half court with him is the scouting report is going to be load to the basket and make him make the next play, which he's been able to make in instances, but he's also been turnover prone. So you're going to want to take away the direct drives to the basket. So yes, it's going to be a place, and there's going to be other players in a similar manner. You're going to see Tamanaga in a similar manner, right? They're going to see how he goes early, and it's going to be between him and Wilcher as to who's going and who's not. And so I think you're going to see that. Other than Walker's going to be a very consistent. You're going to see Bryce pretty consistent unless he's taking bad shots. Then they're going to implement that come sit next to me rule, and then you'll see, depending on foul trouble or different things like that with the big men, who's going to be that next guy up as far as complimenting Walker to give him a breather or break. So yeah, I think it's going to be plug and play type situational circumstances probably going forward until they kind of find a pretty consistent combinations.
Yeah, and I guess at this point in the season, maybe you would expect, maybe some changes after a long losing streak or whatever. But that these guys, this is kind of who they are. Is that some nights there's going to be, a guy hot and get more minutes or whatever, and you just hope that you get it from one of them, because of course there's been games where nobody's really hot and they're not getting open shots and all that. But hopefully this is not one of those games. But it's very interesting, from several different players' angles. I guess one being Bryce McGowan's. Again, he was attacking the hoop against a very good shot blocker this last game against EJ Liddell in Ohio State. Well, he's got another big time shot blocker tonight against Michigan State's Marcus Bingham, who averages 3 shots blocked per game. I believe he's at 3. So do you think that he has to change his mentality? I think he's most effective when he's attacking the rim as opposed to kind of taking jump shots. He can hit them, sure, but he seems to be more effective when he's attacking the rim. How do you change that when you know there's a rim protector there? Do you just try to go stronger? Do you try to draw a foul, or does it change your mentality at all?
Well, that's why you've got to establish your runner game, your runner or your mid range. It's got to be one of the two. It can't. If you're attacking a timing shot blocker at the rim, you're not going to win that battle. Somebody that's able to get, unless you're able to consistently beat your guy, which right now Bryce hasn't consistently. I'm not saying he can't, but against really good competition, he hasn't shown he's been consistently able to. Because I think he gets nudged off, bumped off, because as we talked about, some straight up type plays, just not low leverage, and he's just not strong enough in his hips and legs and shoulders right now to put it on somebody, hold them with that left arm, just kind of hold him there and just slide him off of him. He just doesn't have that yet, and he will. I think he will if he works and gets in the weight room. I think a lot of kids these days think that the weight room hinders them, but it really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It really helps you, because when you get 20 games in, legs get tired, and that's when your physicality of being in the weight room helps you. So I don't think he wants to meet very good shot blockers that's what they do and that's what they specialize in at the rim. Unless you're trying to be like Trey McGowan's, where you're trying to bang on everybody that you catch in the paint. If you're doing that, then albeit go get it, because then you might get foul trouble action. You know what I'm saying? Now he may be sitting on the bench, but if you're trying to be cute and slippery and slidey and trying to little finger, that ain't gonna work. Not against a premier shot blocker.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if he can adjust to that. I know there was the kind of questions at the press conference for that, because that's a major part of this game. And of course, the last player I wanted to hit on was Lat Mayen, who missed those free throws. As we all know, basketball's a 40-minute game. If it goes into overtime longer than that, so it's not all on him. But I think he's probably got to be feeling, and I saw him taking free throw shots after the game. He stuck around after the game to make sure to get that work in, so that next time up, he's prepared for it. Do you think that he would be among the most hungry to get back on the court for tonight, try to redeem himself a bit?
It can go one of two ways. I'll give you an NBA example. It's not as serious as one of my colleagues had in this situation, which was Nick Anderson. It's not as serious because that was in a playoff. I mean, that was when it was all on the line and you're trying to win a championship. But it can have that kind of effect on you potentially. So if you recall, Nick Anderson went to the free throw line. It was a crucial game. He hits it, they win. I mean, I think he missed quite a few that game, which they were fouling him. And what his specialty was is he could post up and do things inside that made it an advantage for him. And it got into his head. And he stopped going. He stopped attacking the basket. He stopped doing all of the things that he did well. So it can go one of two ways. Either, as you said, he can come out of it. If he's mentally strong, he can battle through and next time he gets the opportunity, knock it down. Or he can go into a shell and it gets into your head. But me, I've played those things a million times in my head. I just watched the film not too long ago of a wonderful game we had at the Devaney Center against the Michigan State's team with Eric Snow and Sean Respert, and we were down 3 points, and it's the thing that kids you dream about is opportunities like that. And Tom Wald had a phenomenal opportunity. Called a play. I threw it into him. I drew 2, passed it over to him, and Eric Snow fouled him, and he went to the free throw line and hit 3 to tie the game. And we ended up going into overtime to win. So that's what you hope would come out of it for a Latmayan is the perseverance to go back again and battle that battle, because it's really a battle of the mind. There's no question about it.
And you wonder if he's kind of in his own head. I mean, he's a good shooter. We've seen it before, but only shooting 22% from beyond the arc this season, and that's
you want to know why? You want to know why?
That?
Before you finish, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Lat right now, and he hasn't improved on it. This is the part that I would have worked with him on if I was working with him. He takes too long to get his shot off. It's very slow. And he needs to speed that up because he can't shoot. He's not ready shoot. He's not a ready shot maker, meaning he's not ready to shoot when the ball gets to him. It's when it gets to him, then he gets ready and then he shoots. But when you get to faster competition, and I would prepare him for the next level if he wants to play there, that you've got to be able to get that thing off quicker. And that's the one thing that helped me in mind is that Kiki Vandeweghe helped me with that specific instance, because the faster the competition, the faster you need to be more ready to get that shot off. And that's what his problem is. So when they get there, he's not ready. Then they get there and he tries to drop to drive and he's not able to beat them. A guy flying at you, you should be able to beat, but he kind of is a straight up guy too. And so that's the problem with Latman. Go ahead and finish your point, but that's why he's not able to shoot the ball good right now.
That's a good point, because too, like when you think of him as kind of that's his specialty, right? There's been too many times that he's kind of been passed open, and then he's, like you're saying, kind of loading at that point, right? Instead of being loaded and ready to roll, and then he kind of just either does a pump fake or just doesn't even shoot it, because by the time he's ready, there's a defender when he was open from the initial pass.
Facts.
So that's been kind of something I know that people kind of get frustrated seeing Lat have an open opportunity and kind of passing it up, and maybe it is because of that slow developing shot that he's got going. But either way, you just hope to see him get going, because I mean, we've seen it before. I specifically remember the tournament team from a few years ago. Javon Shields shot close to like 33%. The next year shot like 20%. Walter Payton shot 40%. The next year almost like 25%. So you can have like whole years when we know that if you shoot 40% from the arc at the college level for an entire season, you can shoot. But you can also have that whole year where you just kind of get in your own head and you can't get out of it. And I think that's kind of where he is. And those free throws probably didn't help, but maybe it did. Maybe there is something eventually, whether it is, kind of fighting up and just kind of trying to break through one way or the other, that can shake him and wake him up. Because if he starts going, it's just like every one of these other guys, you're kind of waiting for who's hot. and it hasn't been Lot Mayen too often this season.
Yeah.
And if he, it's just basketball's a lot of it. I mean, you've got a lot of capable guys out there, and only one or two of them are getting hot per night, or less than that. Obviously, they're absolutely screwed. But if only one or two of them get hot per night, that it can stay in that game. If you get 3 or 4 of them hot that night, and that could be one of those guys, now you've got a team, and now you've got an opportunity to get those wins, and they're going to need somebody to really step up to get a win. And the Breslin Center gets a top 10 Michigan State team. I did want to tease this. Get ready too, because shootout with Strick, your chance to beat Strick in our game show in a shootout is coming up here in about 5 or 6 minutes. So we will get to that. Also coming up here in the next hour or so, we'll get to Jim Harbaugh, thoughts about him going to the NFL, the Washington football name change semifinalists. They're down to that. I know we'll talk more Antonio Brown. We'll get a hitting the hardwood segment and talk a little bit of NBA. So all of that is coming up here on the remainder of the show. We'll also talk more Husker basketball, getting ready for that Michigan State game. But coming up next is a shootout with Strick, your chance to win. Go ahead and give us a call, 402-464-5685. It's your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings here on the Block with Strick and Bock on 90. It's tough. It's going to be a tough word.
On the Block with Strick and Bock.
There it is. You heard it from Strick. That's coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you, all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkimp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hard-working, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com. Proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already on our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is hiring and seeking motivated applicants. Gray offers a second-to-none benefit package that includes health, dental, vision, 401k, paid vacation, and paid holidays. They offer great pay and tuition reimbursement or a tool purchase program for qualified candidates. It's a fun, friendly team with lots of variety and work assignments, so there's something for everybody. View and apply for their job openings today at grayusa.com or visit them in person just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Come be a part of the Gray difference.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Our next shot of cold Arctic air has arrived. We only top out at around 14 today with a north wind at 15 to 20. It will feel below zero for much of the day as a wind chill advisory will be in effect. Could see some light snow this evening. We'll drop down to 2 below overnight and only see a high of around 11 for tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Time to play the game!
It is time to play Shootout with Strick here on 93.7 The Ticket, brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings. If you win, you get $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. So that will be the goal, and you get a chance to say that you beat Strick in a shootout. Just don't tell him that it was on a radio show. Not as quite as impressive there. But in any case, that's what you get. That's the opportunity you have. And Strick, by the way, fights on behalf of the people. If he wins, the third caller will get $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, but you got to wait to see the results. James is looking to win that $15 for himself. James, how you doing today?
Good.
You're doing good. How much do you know about Michigan State basketball history? I suppose that's the topic today.
Just a little bit.
Well, that should work because it's just either or questions, except for the money ball. You got to give an answer for that one. But you'll have about 40 seconds. We'll have Strick run through his shots, I suppose, first, and then so you can kind of see how it goes, and then you'll have your opportunity. So, Strick, we'll start with you. You ready, Strick?
Ready to go.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Steve Smith's jersey is retired at Michigan State. What is his number in college, 21 or 8?
21.
That's correct. Which Spartan was selected higher in the 2018 NBA draft, Miles Bridges or Jaren Jackson?
Bridges.
That's false. True or false, Magic Johnson is Michigan State's all-time leader in career assists?
True.
That's false. Who began the tradition of outgoing seniors kissing the logo midcourt in the final game? Sean Respert or Eric Snow?
Snow.
It was Respert. What year did Magic Johnson lead Michigan State to their first national title?
83.
It was 1979. Strick, you only put up 1 point. You only made one shot today, so that's going to be a good opportunity for James. But, hey, it is tough. You never know what's going to happen. So, James, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. How many Final Fours has Michigan State been in, 8 or 10?
8.
8 is wrong. Got to go quick with these ones. Which Spartan was selected higher in the 2001 NBA draft? Zach Randolph or Jason Richardson?
Zach Randolph.
That's wrong. True or false? Former Spartan Shannon Brown went on to become a 2-time NBA champion.
Wrong. Wrong.
That is true. What is Michigan State's basketball arena called? Breslin Center or Chrysler Center?
Breslin Center.
That's right. What year did Mateen Cleaves lead Michigan State to their second national title? Oh, the buzzer went off. So that is the year 2000. So you each had 1 point. So we go to the tiebreaker, in which case, Strick, you give us one answer. And then, James, you get the opportunity to go over or under, and we'll see who wins. Strick, if you get it right on the nose, you win, by the way. How many seasons has Tom Izzo been head coach at Michigan State, Strick?
21.
21. James, you think over or under?
Over.
It is over, and therefore James takes home the chicken, $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, and you get your celebratory hell yeah from Stone Cold here.
I said, give me a hell yeah.
All right, there you go, James. Congratulations on your win and your $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. You're
How many was it? How many is Izzo?
Oh, yeah, I always got to answer that. People got to remind. 27th season, started in 1995. So, yeah, not a bad
was around my time, but I couldn't pull the trigger to say that.
We're
That
still
high.
looking for the first Moneyball in Shootout with Strick history, so we'll see if that ever happens. But I kind of like it. I added 10 seconds to it. I think I get the question out, and you have the opportunity. But it's a fast-paced game.
It is very fast paced, and the thing is that you don't get a chance to kind of process it, right? You got to really just pull the trigger. You got to say, oh, and it literally could be either or, you know. So when you say either or, it's like, dang, you know, was that shine or was that? Yeah, you know, you don't have time to think it through. You gotta pull
That's
the
like
trigger.
the 3-point shooting contest. You just got to throw it up there. But I suppose in that situation, there's not much thinking. It's just kind of your natural getting to the flow of things. But
Yeah.
this one, you don't get much time to think. So a lot of pressure on you. Plus, I tricked you. I asked you if Magic Johnson is Michigan State's all-time leader in career assists. That's hard to. You would think.
That's hard.
You would think so, but Cassius Winston is actually their all-time
Cassius
leader.
Winston, huh? He ended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He was
so,
good though. He was a good one. I wouldn't have thought Cassius was, pulled that off. But
Yeah, he was fun, and I think he's still in the NBA. But I think he was like a second-round pick. But he was one of my favorite college players. You always like the point guards that stick around till their senior year, get to the tournament and all that. So he was kind of fun. Michigan State history altogether. If you have a favorite player that comes to mind, obviously maybe somebody you played with. I know you mentioned Eric Snow sometimes. Maybe Steve Smith. Draymond
probably
Green.
mine of all time would be I like Steve Smith because Steve Smith had that half spin and go that the only one that I knew could really do it like Steve Smith was my close friend Curtis Marshall. He was the only one that I knew. Curtis Marshall played at Prep, played at NC State. He's the only one I knew that could do that Smitty Bop the way that it's supposed to be done. I tried. I could never get it, man. I could never get it. We called it the Smitty Bop.
Yeah. What is that move? What's that move?
It's like he okay, so like he's dribbling, like just say he's on the wing, right? He's like he'll like act like he's gonna, dribble to the corner, and then he'll fake like he's gonna half spin, and then he'll go.
Oh, yeah.
Like he'll like look like he's gonna spin on you to go back to the middle, and then he will go baseline on you. And he did it all the time in the NBA, and people they knew it was coming and they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, just
it was like Clyde Drexler who went right every freaking time. You knew Clyde was going right. He had no left to save his life, and you still couldn't stop it. And he's a top 50 player all time. It was like, there's some guys that are just like that.
I love the guys that kind of create their own moves or get their own moves in there. That's why I'm a big fan of Rajon Rondo. He's kind of got that fake behind the back thing that he does, and kind of put up for the shot. So it's kind of fun when a player, basketball's been around a long time, a lot of different strategies, but they can kind of etch out their own little move in there. I think my favorite Michigan State player of all time, I kind of like the dunkers. So maybe like a Jason Richardson or a Shannon Brown. Those guys could really get up there. Mo Peterson was kind of fun back in the day.
Mo Pete, left-hand stroke. Yeah, no doubt.
They've had a lot of...
Richardson had some hops, and he was just really an athletic. He really vamped his game. He upped his game because he became a shooter where he was kind of a streaky guy. He could shoot it, but he wasn't like known to be a stroker, and he ended up being a pretty good shooter, by the time he left the NBA.
Yeah, best of both worlds. An incredible dunker and a great shooter. That's you can't ask for much more fun than that, I guess, as a fan. I did want to get to this real quick. The Washington football team will announce their change and decide on their name change moving forward. I think I'd have to double check. I think it's early February, maybe the 3rd.
The second.
The second was on that, so that's right. So they're kind of down to this. Wolves and Red Wolves is out, which was basically the fan favorite, but they've got a problem as far as there might be some lawsuits if they chose that one, is what they announced. So it's kind of down to here the Armada, the Presidents, the Brigade, Red Hogs, Commanders, Defenders, or to stick with football team. You have a favorite out of those?
Well, here's what's crazy, right? Could it be that it's not any of those?
Oh, shock everybody.
No. Here's the crazy thing, right? There's been some leakage possibly out there. And the crazy thing now, this is alleged. No one knows this to be true, but if it comes true, then you heard it right here on the block with Strick and Bock. Okay.
That's right.
So it's very possible, like if you go on your computer and pull up the WashingtonAdmirals.com, that it leads you to the Washington football website.
Ah, that's interesting. The Admirals.
Is that a coincidence, or is that misdirection, or is that a red herring? We don't know. But if it turns out to be the Washington Admirals, you heard it right here on the block with Strick and Bock.
They do seem to be leaning toward a lot of these are kind of military based. Obviously, they're in DC, so that's interesting. I think I would like the Hogs. I think just because of their, the
Hogs or the groundhogs, or because of when you go back to the John Riggins day, where the Hogs were just opening up big holes for the big hogs.
That's right. That's what I like. And then the fans can bring out their pig masks again, and we can all have fun. I don't know. For some reason, I always liked hogs. I know they're kind of a dirty animal, but I think they're pretty cool. We got to take a break, though. When we come back, we've got another hour to close out for you. We'll lead you right up to the Michigan State tip, of course, and we'll have the post game after that. But coming up next, we'll talk more Husker basketball, maybe some Antonio Brown, a little bit more NBA, maybe even Jim Harbaugh to the NBA. Or that'd be a twist, wouldn't it? How about to the NFL?
To the NBA, that would be an amazing feat.
That's quite a shock for you. We won't talk that one because I don't think that's very possible. But the NFL certainly is in the cards. And maybe he's kind of peaked at Michigan. That's kind of the idea. We'll get all that next year on the block with Strick and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
If you're thinking about a new career, improving your job skills, or just continuing your love of lifelong learning, Southeast Community College's Spring Continuing Education Catalog is hitting your mailbox soon. It's chock full of options. Learn how to write a compelling grant application, become a pharmacy tech, or even learn to ride a motorcycle. We even provide the bike. Check out your catalog or go to southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to possible.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com. Proud sponsor of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Great Diesel and Equipment Services is hiring and seeking motivated applicants. Gray offers a second-to-none benefit package that includes health, dental, vision, 401k, paid vacation, and paid holidays. They offer great pay and tuition reimbursement or a tool purchase program for qualified candidates. It's a fun, friendly team with lots of variety and work assignments, so there's something for everybody. View and apply for their job openings today at grayusa.com or visit them in person just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Come be a part of the Gray difference.
Do you know the signs of an opioid overdose? Talk to your physician and pharmacist about naloxone, a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. Be Opie ready and download a free overdose support tool, the Opie Rescue app. Search Opie Ready for more information.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Developed by CDC.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome back to On the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Eric Strickland, E. Strick, and that is Bock, Jake Bockoven, and Jake Bock, my man, 50 grand. We're going to talk a little bit about the potential of one of the Harbaugh brothers looking at an exit strategy. Well, you know, let's dig into it, get a little background. Some of y'all that may not be familiar with Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan coach, he's spent some time there now and finds it as a possible return to the NFL. Wouldn't that be shocking? Would you think? You know, it'd be something that he'd look to. He had an excellent season this year after, you know, having some turmoil and during the COVID season going 2-4. But Harbaugh, he's 58 now, but he still has some deep ties to the to the NFL.
We both did.
I know we both did it, right? He's a one-time Pro Bowler. He played quarterback in 87 to 2000 for Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts, Baltimore Ravens and San Diego Chargers. He was also the quarterback's coach for the Oakland Raiders. So there's the tie. He has a tie there to Oakland. No longer Oakland, now Las Vegas. And he was also the head coach at the San Francisco 49ers from 2011 to 14, where he took the Niners to the Super Bowl in 2012 to eventually lose to his brother, John Harbaugh, who is still with the Baltimore Ravens. So when we think about that, knowing that he does have some of those ties, I mean, when you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, they have a solid quarterback that is going to probably be there for a while in Carr. They do have some turmoil that's going on right now. I'll get into, but I would love to hear your thoughts, being that he also is close friends with Raiders owners Mark Davis. The Raiders are in the market. They're looking, obviously, losing John Gruden to the situation mid-season with, all the, I don't want to get into all the stuff that went on, but nonetheless, it was some stuff. And then, so right now, Rich, shoot, I don't want to mess up Rich's name. Bisaccia. What's Rich's last name? Bock? Bisaccia?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, so it's a tough one. He's gone 6-5, but the Raiders find themselves at 9-7, and they could qualify for the playoffs this weekend if they beat kind of a struggling Chargers team. So, what's your thoughts, Bock, on the potential of a Jim Harbaugh returning to the NFL?
Well, I think that it would be interesting. It'd be fun. I would miss him certainly in the Big Ten. I think that he's obviously raised the profile of the Big Ten, and you kind of think about a couple of years ago, if you lose Harbaugh, you lost Urban Meyer, although I suppose he's back on the open market if maybe Big Ten team.
I don't know. It might be a minute before Urban jumps back in. He's been in bars, touching on the sign.
Yeah, I think you might have to wait a little bit to show back up in college football, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does eventually. It's just kind of interesting because Michigan's the longest stay he's had, right, so far. I mean, that was the idea when he was hired at Michigan, is he kind of burns out his welcome pretty quickly, and of course kind of did that with San Francisco, but the guy went 44-19-1 at San Francisco. That's a heck of a winning percentage, near 70, and obviously did make the Super Bowl there with the quarterbacks Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, which solid quarterbacks, but obviously could be better at the next level. I'm intrigued because I do think that there is the potential that he peaked at Michigan, and so kind of what is the idea? I don't think it gets any better than that scene in Ann Arbor, kind of snowy, and there's 100,000 people on the field celebrating the win over Ohio State. It's hard to imagine it getting better, and you saw them against Georgia looking a little bit outmatched, right? And I think if they put it all together on the right day, like plenty of teams around the nation, they might be able to upend a Georgia or an Alabama, but to be able to win the whole thing seems a little, I mean, it'd have to be quite a special run. I hope that he's just me, because like I said, more of a college football fan, more of a Big Ten fan than anything, is I hope that he's kind of playing with the idea to get some of that money back that he gave up going into this season, right? He took the pay cut. Things weren't going well in Ann Arbor coming off a 2-4 season. So he took a pay cut and then had his best season there in Ann Arbor. So I hope he's just kind of playing to get the money. If he does leave, it's interesting because you mentioned Vegas. There, I've heard the possibility of the Bears thrown out there. If I were him, I would definitely pick a spot. Maybe with the quarterback. I think that was kind of the idea with Urban Meyer, is you were going to get Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if a Derek Carr is enough for me, if a Justin Fields is enough for me, if I'm Harbaugh, to move out of my situation. But it's fascinating to see what will happen, because he's once again in the position like he was years ago when he took the Michigan job, that he basically, I shouldn't say this, but he pretty much could have any job in football as far as openings are concerned.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate and just kind of look at it from the other side. I'm gonna give the negative, but also shed a little light on some positive. The pay cut is something to weigh out, right? When you look at it, though, he's had the number out of the Big Ten. He's had the number 3 recruiting class. So up top, it's still Ohio State, the one that you really got to beat in order to make yourself viable in the Big Ten, especially from Michigan's perspective, right? That's the one. You've got to get that one. That's like when in the Big 8, that's like Nebraska, Oklahoma. That's the one that signifies, right? So, Ohio State has retooled. You pulled out a good one. You set yourself in a good position by doing so. And then now you have an option to, it's like a good head coach that wins in a spurt and you win the big ones against you might want to look and kind of see what's out there, right? Because as you said, there could be a potential of peaking. And so for me, when I look at the situation in Las Vegas, right? It can turn one of two ways. It can either be a positive or a negative. So when you're dealing with turmoil like right now that they have going on in Las Vegas, you find yourself, you can either be the hero or you can be the GOAT, right? Now, I'm not talking about the GOAT as in the greatest of all time. I'm talking about the GOAT where they want to kick you in your spanker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I look at Harbaugh, he signed that deal, cut the bag. Sometimes you can look at an exit strategy to secure the new bag, right?
Yeah.
And that NFL bag is, that's pretty large in charge. So I've seen coaches that have been on the hot seat that, they salvage a season, they win a few big games, and they use it as a springboard in order to get away from the stresses of their current situations. Because if you look at it and you're assessing it, you got the third best recruiting class. Ohio State is revamped. They're hungry for revenge. You know what I'm saying? So, Penn State also is tooling up. And so you've got these things, and he's probably looking down his roster there at Michigan, looking at the long haul of things. Is it going to be a downward trend on the roller coaster ride that I'm on right now? Or is this a potential for me to look elsewhere? They've got troubles, right? So you've got a situation. He knows the owner very well. But he's also got the Henry. So he's, you go to Las Vegas, you've lost 2 first-rounders. Henry Ruggs, who found himself in the incident that, unfortunately, rest Tina Tinter's soul and the poor dog. But Henry Ruggs, got caught in that situation, could be looking at felony time for a long time. You got Damon Arnett, who, is on Instagram, talking about, I'm gonna cap one on you if you know what I'm saying, allegedly, he was looking to do some crazy like that, flashing weapons. Yeah. So you lose 2 first-rounders at a cornerback position, and Ruggs was on his way to, being an all-pro the way he was playing. And then now you just have a situation with Nate Hobbs is also at the cornerback position, kind of coming out of Cromwell, which is where Dre's at. I've been there. It's popping. He probably was popping some bottles and found himself a little twisted. I mean, they don't know right now. It's a misdemeanor. They don't know if it's really going to go through full because he was just, sleep in his car. So, we don't know how that's going to turn out. But you've got turmoil, and you lose Gruden, and you just lost your president. So, if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at coming off a big season, at Michigan. And I'm weighing those scales, and I want to go to Oakland?
That's why I'm thinking maybe to pick your spot a little bit more. That doesn't seem like a ready-made situation to go in there and compete right away. If you're Harbaugh, I think you have the opportunity maybe if you want to use this offseason, the openings, to get a little bit more money at Michigan. And if you have an NFL itch, kind of wait for the a better thing to pop up for you. I think that would be wise for him. Although
that's a problem with that, though, Bock. Really, there's a problem with that. The problem with that part is he has ties to specific people and organizations.
Right.
Is he the one that guys would be looking for outside? Is he the one that Shad Khan down in Jacksonville? Is Harbaugh the one that Shad Khan would be looking for, right? That's the thing you got to really look at, right? So because he has the ties, it would be a smoother transition to kind of shift into a Bears or a situation. But I understand what you're saying, but I'm asking that question. What's your thought about that? That's how I'm really asking.
Yeah, and certainly that can play a big role in it. I mean, if you're a head coach, you want to have those ties with your owner so you can get a little more leeway and kind of have somebody that's able to work with you a little bit more rather than fight against you on budget issues or whatever it may be. I first of all, I think there's 2 things about Las Vegas. One is that, it's a new situation there with the Raiders, and there are already guys getting in trouble. I don't know if that's a direct correlation to being in Vegas. the nightlife. That's a concern when you talk about moving a franchise to Vegas. Is that the city doesn't sleep. It's 24/7. And there's always something going on. There's always parties happening. You can get in trouble there. So you need to be the right type of people there. And I think that is an additional obstacle for that organization to overcome. The other part of that is just imagining Jim Harbaugh on the Strip. Talk about the guy that doesn't mesh with Vegas.
Hey, listen though, it would definitely be better than Urban Meyer on the Strip.
That's true. You worried a little bit.
You might see Urban Meyer and Dre's tossing them up, yo.
That's one hire we can definitely expect not to happen for Vegas.
Oh boy,
I'd love to see Harbaugh in his khakis, but maybe that's what you need in Vegas is that that type of personality that's going to be the complete opposite of the city to kind of steer your organization away from some of the problems that they're having off the field. And again, I don't know, it may be unfair to correlate those off the field problems with the city, but it's a new experiment. It's a new and something that I think when you decided to move to Vegas, you had to consider
that. And you have to also consider the point shaving, you know what I'm saying, type of situation, right? I'm sure. Hey, listen, I'm allegedly, I'm not going to say this is happening, but I'm just saying, there's some great UNLV players that was there and had some, questions asked of them with regards to those types of things. I mean, that can happen anywhere. So I'm not going to say it's just relative to Vegas, but it's just, I can reach out and touch you.
Yeah. If I want to, and like you said, there's been a history there.
You know what I'm saying? So that's something, those are things to weigh out. But I will say that before we go to break, let's give a little update with regards to Antonio Brown, right? Because it's still unclear. It still hasn't been solidified as to what actually transpired. But we happen to be talking about the potential of mental health issues, but we could potentially be wrong as well, right? And here, and I want to delve into that. And the reason I say that, though, Bock, is because the thing that we as people sometimes miss is that there are triggers, right? So there's a difference between mental health and there's a difference between snap triggers. You understand? So just because I snap trigger doesn't necessarily mean I have a mental health issue. So like you can push me, prod me, poke me enough that can cause me to snap off and hit you in your jaw. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean I have a mental health issue. So So that's why I think with the situation and some of the conversation, it could be a red herring in that, they're trying to preserve, his situation in stating, because they said he did have an injury, but he could have been up playing it because it sounds like the injury was some time ago before he returned to the team from the suspension. So my thing with regards to Antonio Brown is that it is being said that he did have an injury. They had some discussion at halftime. He comes out, he then brings up the injury and then states that he's not going in the game. I think now that it's very potential that Arians in the group may be trying to cover themselves because there could be a potential lawsuit that follows, where you're getting rid of a player unjustly if he does have an injury. So there's a lot of things that are playing out there right now. We're not totally secure here on the block with Strick and Bock, but we wanted to just put that out there that there are some things that could weigh in. I know we did mention mental health potentially because of some of the previous issues, but I also want to talk about the previous issues that he had in that some of those previous issues were potential snap issues, not necessarily mental health issues, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility, and I think sometimes, that's just kind of where we go, right? And I'm glad that the awareness around mental health has been raised, and that it's more of something. Maybe it should be one of the first things you go to, because a lot of people do struggle with it. But I think there's a possibility that Antonio Brown likes himself some Antonio Brown. I mean, we've seen that over his career, because when he walks out, he's doing this. He's trying to get the crowd going. He's trying to get involved. He goes and gets a limo ride. He's on social media right away. There's a possibility that Antonio Brown, I think this,
he could be the Dennis Rodman of the NFL.
Right. I think that he might just be more interested in being a socialite, and he's got money. That you talk about the potential for going out there and making more money, and certainly there's never enough, right? When you're competing in that stratosphere, you're competing with other people with a lot of money, so you're trying to get more money. And I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but if you go from that, and I know it's right there on the field, but if he just kind of gets to a point where Bruce Arians or somebody's trying to tell him something, and he thinks, you can't tell me nothing. I'm Antonio Brown. I'm secure, and I've maybe he's got some off the field goals, like I said, as far as being more of a socialite or kind of after the playing days to try to gear himself into being in a Hollywood type of star more than anything. That stunt is something we'll remember forever, and it would be something that if he does have that hope down the line, that will be something that he could fall back on. And so it's from years of watching diva wide receivers, because it seems to be a common theme in that group, is that it's almost gets to a point at some point of you almost have to out diva the previous diva wide receiver at sometimes.
And the crazy thing is, there was that one time that people thought Gronk was kind of off his rocker a little bit, right? Just some of the antics he did, some of the things he was doing as he was going and partying, living, doing his life, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There were some times where they thought he was kind of, went left, but Gronk is totally settled in. He's matured, he's gotten older, and he looks like a totally different guy. So, I mean, I think there are guys like that out there. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting Terrell Owens and spending some time with him in Dallas, and he's really not what they say he is. I had the same thing with Allen Iverson. People, I think mistook Allen Iverson, because if you really sat down behind the scenes and got a chance to chop it up with him, he's really a good cat, quiet cat, really just a humble dude, and just loves the game. So I think sometimes what you see in the forefront is different from what you get an opportunity if you sit down with them to discuss it. It's a little bit different. So that's just our thoughts right here on the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm E. Strick. That is Bock. And we will be back after this. We're going to talk a little bit of maybe John Morant and the Zion Williamson debate. We may get into that a little bit of who's number one now and who's number two, who's coming out the shadow, and all that good stuff right after this.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already on our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is hiring and seeking motivated applicants. Gray offers a second-to-none benefit package that includes health, dental, vision, 401k, paid vacation, and paid holidays. They offer great pay and tuition reimbursement or a tool purchase program for qualified candidates. It's a fun, friendly team with lots of variety and work assignments, so there's something for everybody. View and apply for their job openings today at grayusa.com or visit them in person just off I-80 and North 56th Street. Come be a part of the Gray difference.
Look around your house. You don't really have any room for Christmas gifts. Things are stuffed into closets, and your garage is a mess too. For a unique gift this holiday, call Travis at Classic Garage Solutions for their Christmas organization packages. Turn your garage from a cluttered mess to a clean, organized space that will be the envy of the neighborhood and something you can be proud of. Storage options for cabinets, monkey bars shelving, or slat wall. Call Classic Garage Solutions today at 402-730-1638. That's 730-1638.
I'm Dan Friedman. When you entrust the care of an aging or sick loved one to a nursing home, it can be a gut-wrenching decision. Unfortunately, sometimes these facilities are poorly managed or make bad decisions, and our vulnerable loved ones suffer the consequences. If you believe your loved one suffered at the hands of a poorly run nursing home, it doesn't cost you a thing to get the opinion of a skilled trial lawyer. At Friedman Law, we've been protecting the rights of injured Nebraskans for over half a century. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
South Lincoln has a new place for you to catch all sporting events. The Upside Bar and Lounge is your destination for Monday Night Football, UFC fight nights, and more. It's a great place to meet friends to enjoy great drinks and food, with plenty of TVs to catch all the action. There's easy access and free parking and comfortable seating for groups. And don't forget happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. each weekday. There's specials every night, including taco night on Mondays and burger baskets on Tuesdays. That's at the Upside Bar and Lounge at 27th and Pine Lake.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the Sidetrack Band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Working at Continental of Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Do you know the signs of an opioid overdose? Talk to your physician and pharmacist about naloxone, a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. Be Opie Ready and download a free overdose support tool, the Opie Rescue app. Search Opie Ready for more information.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
We're back on the Block with Strick and Bock. I'm Strick, and that's my partner, Bock. We're going to talk a little bit about Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. We know that 3 years ago, these two perennial athletes went 1 and 2, Zion Williamson being the first person chosen to the New Orleans Pelicans, and Ja Morant to the Memphis Grizzlies. So we've had, them in their rookie years, played very well. Ja Morant ends up becoming the Rookie of the Year, sliding out of the background into the foreground and out of the shadow of Zion Williamson to take over the Rookie of the Year. Obviously, the two played against each other. Zion having a solid first year, not playing much in his first year, unfortunately for them. And then injuring himself this year. He's in the recovery process of a foot injury, which they say they've shot it with some biographic whatever to help it. I'm not a doctor, but whatever to help the bone, heal a little bit faster, nonetheless. But one of the things that we want to talk about is whether or not the Pelicans made the right choice. one of the things that I like about John Morant is that we've consistently seen progression and growth, averaging 18 points in his first year, boom, to up that to 19 points in his second year, and then boom, to make a significant jump up to 25 points in his third year. Everything else across the board is pretty consistent. His assist numbers, his steal numbers jumped to 1.4 this year, playing a little bit more minutes. But also what I love about what he's doing is that he's shooting the ball at a pretty good clip. You know, to be a guard at 6'3", his size, his leaping ability is phenomenal. He will bang on your head in the same like that Zion Williamson will bang on your head when he's healthy. But also I love the fact that, you know, he went from 33% in his first year, dropped a little bit in his second year. Obviously, that's just because of sophomore. You know, sometimes you have sophomore slumps, so to speak. But now he's up that back up. He's up over 40% from three now. And so I love what John Morant's doing. And I actually think he has more tremendous upside for me just because of what he's able to do and what he was able to do in taking the 12th seed, beating out a Steph Curry team to send them away in the inaugural year of the new play-in system that LeBron James hates so much. But Ja, you know, he gave him a little run. He gave everybody a run. I think he should be an all-star this year. If he gets snubbed, I think it'll be a travesty. The young fella is playing wonderful ball. And I ask you, Bock, did the Pelicans make a mistake in selecting Zion Williamson number 1 over Ja Morant?
Well,
And
there's
why?
a lot of time left for that, but obviously this is sports radio, so we're going to make the decision today. But both of them, both very young, 22 for Ja Morant, 21 for Zion Williamson. But I guess the injury concerns are starting to pile up against Zion. And then the other thing is that his team's not very good. Now, part of that is the team around him. Hasn't been able to play this year, but I'm talking about his career so far, whereas Ja Morant has elevated that, and maybe he's gotten the help. It's not like the Memphis is stacked, but, you know, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, they've got Steven Adams out there. Dylan Brooks has been pretty good. So, I mean, they've done well, but at the same time, they're nowhere near where they are. And where they are right now is 25-14 and on top of their division. But they're nowhere near where they are with Ja Morant, without Ja Morant.
Facts.
It was just interesting because I remember that time and people were starting to look like Zion was for that whole year in college basketball was awesome, right? I mean, that was like, okay, this is the can't miss prospect of the decade. And then it kind of got off the draft time and people were going, man, that Ja Morant guy is actually pretty good. Maybe he could be the number 1 pick. And it was almost like, yeah, but you got to go with the number 1, the guy that's the once in a decade type of player. And I think there's a good potential, you know, down the line, especially with these injuries, that you do look at Ja Morant as developing and getting better and maybe being one of the best point guards in the league, and obviously bringing his team along for a decade. And I don't know if he can say the same thing about Zion Williamson at this point. It certainly could be a thing where he needs to get out of New Orleans. Anthony Davis had to do that eventually to you know, kind of rise and get to his championship. But I like the guard play. I think that's a bigger deal in the NBA these days than kind of your forwards and your centers. So I always was kind of, you know, I hesitate to say I'm not a GM or anything, so I didn't have to make an official decision. And I think it was a coin flip. But at the same time, I think that there's real potential that down the line, and maybe even now, I think certainly now when Zion Williamson is out and Ja Morant's got his team on top of the division, is that he seems to be maybe in the long term a better prospect. But it's hard to say because Zion averaged 27 last year. So, I mean, it's not like we're talking about somebody that's struggling too much. It's just kind of doing that on a bad team compared to putting up 25 and what is he at, 25 and 7 on a good team is a little bit different. So right now I'd lean toward Ja Morant, but there's still plenty of time for Zion to catch up.
Well, there's no question. I mean, shoot, you got the big kudos from Kevin Durant after they beat them when he went for, I think, 44 or something against them on just this previous game that they had against Brooklyn. And, you know, basically Kevin Durant said it. I mean, he's like, this kid right here is something special. And you've got to keep your eye out. I think when we talked about the Steph Curry situation and we had some discussion on that, when we talked about who's up next, right? We've got to look down the board and you know, find that next core group that's going to elevate if the league is to elevate and go to another level. You know, you got to find that guy. And I think he's a classy kid. He comes from humble beginnings. I mean, I think when I was kind of starting my company over at Cerebral Sports, at Cerebral Sports, one of the things that we were looking at, Bock, was how to help guys like myself who are kind of hidden behind the veil, and those are the things that we talked about. How can we raise the eyebrows to be able to find the Dwayne Wades and to find the John Morants and to find the ones that just are not the guys that went to the Dukes or the Zion Williamsons that came out of high school, or LeBron James, that were coming out of high school with all these big names, right? How do we find these guys? And so the story behind it was, and this is part of the problem in sometimes in the AAU system, is that kids like that sometimes just don't get the opportunities to play on the top tier programs or in the Adidas Gauntlet series or in the EYBL or in the Under Armour series. They just maybe don't have the finances or don't have the team in their local areas. And how do we find these kids? So how does this kid end up at Murray State? You understand?
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy that he was no less that great at Murray State. I mean, he took them to multiple. He only lost 4 games in college, and he took them to multiple wins in the NCAA tournaments in 2 years. So how does he get away? And so so my thing is, when people are looking at him, you can't deny him. So he's got to be number 2. But can you say a kid coming out of Murray State, in their mind, this is their mind, can you say a kid coming out of Murray State is the number 1 pick in the NBA over what they say is a transcendent talent, who is supposed to be the outlier that opens up the doors for the next generation of players to take over after LeBron and Chris Paul's and Durant's and Steph Curry's leave the scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly. I mean, Zion was kind of that face that probably put up there as maybe the next face of the league. It's hard to get that, especially when you're a new guy in the NBA. Some guys, LeBron was able to have success pretty quickly, but you have to be kind of that special to put yourself in that category, because I think part of the problem with both these guys, again, is that you're getting lost. You're in Memphis, you're in New Orleans, so people aren't watching you on a given basis as if you were, with the Knicks or on LA on the West Coast every night, getting that national TV audience. So, and that was kind of big for Trae Young, right? Trae Young was having a good couple of years. Of course, he's not what you're talking about as far as kind of under the radar. He's a National College Player of the Year and doing things well over there at Oklahoma. But he was just a really great NBA player, up and comer. Nobody really talked about him all that much because he wasn't on national TV till he had a playoff run. So I think it might take that from one of these guys, and that will elevate them to the next level. But it's kind of funny when you talk about him at Murray State and not getting the opportunity for whatever reason. You still go back to Steph Curry, who went to Davidson, and he, you would think that he would have every opportunity in the world for people to see that he would be that next guy. But of course, this was before a time before he changed basketball for the way it is, where, he's a small guy, defensive liability, he could shoot, but, so, and now obviously he's changed the world and changed the game of basketball.
Yeah. I mean, he was the last player in the lotto at that period. I think he ended up 13. Or was it? Was that?
He might have been a little higher, but I know that like Minnesota picked like Johnny Flynn above him. I mean, there was a couple.
There's a lot of players. Oh, so no, he was in the top 10. That's right.
Yeah, he was like
I'm tripping. Yeah, like 8 or something like that. That's right.
Yeah,
I'm tripping. Some reason, I don't know. I downgrade guys sometimes where I think they're coming in, and but no, I wish there was a system out there, Bock, that you really had a way. And this is just coming to my mind, that you had a way to take your Dave Bings and your Tiny Archibalds and Oscar Robinsons and your Wilt Chamberlains and Bill Russells and match them up against the Shaquille O'Neals and the Kobe Bryants and the Michael Jordans. And then another group to the Karen. I wish there was a way that we could just really see how that battle would take place. You know what I'm saying? Like I would just love to see that.
2K is about the only place you can put that together.
Right?
I don't think it's quite realistic, but
man, it's just something in my head just says, dang, man, I wish you could just really kind of match these guys up. And I think at times, even myself, I think at times because I played in the Michael Jordan era, but I had the ability to see young LeBrons and young KDs come in and Dwayne Wade's, you know what I mean? I got a chance to see and understand and also watch Dirk and grow up. I was probably, I think, 4 years ahead of Dirk. And so I really think sometimes it's the older guys get a disservice. Here's why. I mean, freaking Pistol Pete, man, Maravich was a beast, and people don't really get to know just how crazy he was for his time. The handle that he possessed. I don't think people get to really see and understand. Like they talk about Chris Paul and they talk because that's what we see now, right? But they don't get to see what Stockton was able to do. Like just how Stockton ran the team the way that the team's supposed to be ran. And just so I hate that we can't get those crossovers. People didn't get to see George Gervin and just just how smooth and silky he was. He just finger roll one over your hands. And, I wish there was a way for us to be able to just, kind of collide those eras together and see that.
Well, it's kind of fun because it does add to the discussion more often than not between Michael Jordan and LeBron James when you have the GOAT discussion. But, if you open it up to kind of a wider thing is, how many of these players are cross-generational? I mean, and a lot of them would be. I mean, they find out the rule, but they would change their game depending on how the rules were set up and the game was played. So, I always point to when people do have that MJ discussion is people throw out he shot less than 30% from beyond the arc. He wouldn't have done that in today's game. He would have went in the gym, worked on that a lot more and been one of the better three-point shooters in the league, in my opinion. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it just kind of changes. If that were, if he were playing in today's game, the importance of the three ball now, that's what he would spend more of his time in the gym with. So, it's hard to cross those guys over. I feel even worse because I love pass first point guards. I feel worse for those guys that can't really shoot that are pass first point guards now, because they would run
Avery Johnson.
Yeah, they would run teams, in the 80s and 90s and have starting spots for years, and now they get pulled in, fourth quarter situations because they can't shoot and they're not providing spacing. Same
Eric
thing
Snow.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing for big men now, though, too. Like there's really good big men back to basket big men that would, play a lot in the NBA. Maybe like a Jahlil Okafor would have played a lot more in the 90s, but in today's game, he's just kind of got a role. He can put up 20, but while he puts up 20, the other team's putting up 35 because they're shooting threes.
And the crazy thing is, right, it seems like it's kind of a cycle. It's like the game was very mid-range oriented because it was only a 2-pointer, right? Then it became big men dominated when Kareem and the likes of Wilt and Russell and those guys came in, and then it became very big man dominated, and that's when you started seeing the Ewings and then you had the anomalies like David Robinson, right, who was just a freak of nature who can handle the ball, shoot with range, and so he kind of was one of the startings of the big man that can do extra things. Like David Robinson was one of those types of guys, right? And then you get a crossover of an athletic Shaquille O'Neal who was athletic and can jump and was physical and do all of that. But then you had Akeem Olajuwon, who had some of the best footwork that I've ever seen in my life, right? So you had all of these different things. So then you go away from it, but then you still have a Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Like Joel Embiid and Jokic. I mean, now you've got guys, but see, Jokic.
But they've had to add to their game, from shooting beyond the arc, passing. They've had to add that.
Absolutely.
You wonder, like, if a young Shaq in today's game, people would say maybe the older Shaq, once they kind of added weight and all that, might not have as big of a role in today's game. But young Shaq would have been able to develop those sort of things and would have done that, kind of come along that same way. Maybe not, his free throw never got too much better. But you would think that, his athleticism at a young age, maybe with the Magic and early on with the Lakers, that he would adjust to today's game. So I think it's always kind of unfair to just point to guys and say, well, they wouldn't be able to play in this era, that era, because they would adjust to those eras.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. But let me tell you somebody that people miss, and I wish they could have seen him in his prime. You want to take a guess? Center, played on the West. He was international, and he is like Jokic today with just more stuff.
Sabonis?
Arvydas Sabonis.
There it is.
If they could have saw Sabonis in his prime, that cat was absolutely astonishing. His passing, his vision. But when he was a young Sabonis, he would bang on you and take you to the rack and shoot on you. He had range. He had what the big men today are doing. Arvydas Sabonis was that.
Yeah, but I remember like back in the day too, it'd be like if you're a big man, you're trying out, and this is not even in professional ball, but just, you're trying out for a team and you're shooting, they'll get mad at you. The coaches will run you down and say, hey, that's not your game. We need you down low.
But
you don't take threes. Yeah, it's silly because that's not the way it is anymore.
But even with us though, Bock, I used to post up back in the day. I mean, we had Gary Payton types, and you know what I'm saying? Back then, I mean, if I had a Tyus Edney or a Jock Vaughn or even he's not gonna like that, so I hope he don't see this. But I got a picture of him up here giving him that work. If Nick Van Exel, Nick, I see you up there. You getting that work. So yeah, I used to put guys in the post, but you don't really see guards do that regularly. I mean, they'll do it, sometime, and most of them is at a mid-range era. So I know we got to take a break. That was a fun little conversation, though, just to kind of dig back into the past.
Yeah, and I got a surprise for you. DP's in the studio. I think he wants to add to the discussion after the break.
Oh, no. We're not talking no bullets. We ain't talking Washington.
No, we're going to bring in Chris Raff and Aaron Davis. We're going to bring in 2 more Huskers who are going to take us from 6 to 8 o'clock.
Oh, we could do that.
Sweet.
Okay. All right, we'll be back here on the block with Strick and Bock, and you just heard from DP. We got lots coming for you, so don't go anywhere. Here on 92.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the Sidetrack Band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P. Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hard-working, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already on our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
Beatrice Bakery has been serving Nebraska with one-of-a-kind Grandma's Fruitcake since 1964. You already know that, but did you know they offer way more than that? You've got to try their line of liqueur cakes, like the strawberry daiquiri cake or the vanilla rum cake. Or what about their breakfast breads, the banana nut bread, or their various streusel coffee cakes? Whatever the occasion, Beatrice Bakery has something for you. Oh yeah, and Grandma's Fruitcake? It's still pretty darn good. Beatrice Bakery, located in downtown Beatrice, or always online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Look around your house. You don't really have any room for Christmas gifts. Things are stuffed into closets, and your garage is a mess too. For a unique gift this holiday, call Travis at Classic Garage Solutions for their Christmas organization packages. Turn your garage from a cluttered mess to a clean, organized space that will be the envy of the neighborhood and something you can be proud of. Storage options for cabinets, monkey bars shelving, or slat wall. Call Classic Garage Solutions today at 402-730-1638. That's 730-1638.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
This is On the Block with Strick and Bock. I am Jake Bockelman, Eric Strickland, here as well as we're rounding out the show. But we are also promoting a show coming up next. We have Chris Raff and Aaron Davis here along with us. Guys, how you doing? What's coming up on the show?
We're doing really well. Our show tonight, first time ever. So we're excited. We're going to have a couple guests on tonight. We're going to have Jeff Essink from Farrell's Body Shaping. And we're going to have probably the second fastest Nebraska Husker ever, Aaron Davis being number one, of course.
Yeah.
You're gonna have,
Yeah, right. They was clocking my 40 with a sundial.
We're gonna have the man Riley Washington on.
Oh,
later,
there you go. Yeah, that's
Oh.
speed.
Yeah.
Strick, bringing you back in with some of your old friends here.
Yeah.
What do you remember about these guys from back in the day?
Hey, listen, these guys right here are special. One of them, graced the court and the field in one way by he had the best job. I think Chris Raff had the best job of all of us with the ladies. But hey, I wouldn't have mind being. Hey, listen, I would have taken your position. You could have switched with me, my boy. But my man AD, no, we've got a lot of history. We spent some time. Anytime I come back, they're very hospitable to your boy, man. They let me come into the cigar lounge. We smoke cigars, sip on a little cognac and some wine, and we just talk, all things, sports, life, politics, love, people, friendships. I mean, we just have a wonderful time anytime I come back.
We do. Strick, it's something because we go back since high school. I remember, Strickland, it was kind of I can't even say a throwback, but you think about a guy that came out football, basketball, and baseball. And I was like, man, who is this cat, man? I'm like, who is this? I'm seeing him in the World Herald. It's me, Eric Strickland, Reggie Ball, and George, Okoa from Papillion. And I'm like, who is this dude as a sophomore doing this? I found out real quick. And it's been 30 years plus, so that's the beauty of the relationship because we're like brothers. We go back. Well, I mean, we've known each other longer than we have it. That's the beauty and the blessing of it, man. And seeing all Eric's success and how he's always been Eric. Never lost who he was. And I know he would say this, that's a true atonement to the mom and dad as well. But yeah, we love our boy E, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your show, man. I'm looking forward to, checking you guys out and what you guys are bringing to the table. We're glad to see you a part of the 93.7 FM, the Ticket FM show, man. And you guys are going to do wonderful things, man. We're glad to have you a part of the team.
We're excited, very excited. Thank you, Strick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll round out the show. Thank you guys for joining. Again, those guys are going to be up right next to you here. They're going to have a couple guests, Chris Raff and Aaron Davis. That'll be 6 to 8, and then once 8 hits, hopefully the Husker basketball game will be over, and me and Strick will be right back.
We'll be right back.
Yes.
So lots of good stuff still to come here on the Ticket.
All right, man. Love you guys. You guys have a good one. Good night. Good show tonight.
Thanks, brother.
All right, there they go. They'll be back here in just a second. You don't have to worry. We'll jump out of the studio, adjust some things, and they'll have an excellent show lined up for you, Strick. Real quick, I did want to get your last thoughts as Nebraska takes on Michigan State here at the top of the hour. The hope, obviously, is to finally get over the hump and get the win. What do you think the key for that is?
Well, the key is definitely going to be execution. The key is going to also be communication. The key is going to be making sure that they are doing everything that the scouting report told them to do, because if they don't, it's not going to be a very good night at the Breslin Center.
Yeah, it's a tough team. Like we said, Michigan State, I think they've won somewhere around 7 in a row. They're top 10 team. They just do just about everything well. There's
everything
no one
good.
guy that's going to stand out maybe above the rest. They're a solid team. They have their roles. We talked all year about Nebraska kind of defining their roles. They have a lot of defined roles on that Sparty team.
One last thing too, Bock, before we take out of here. If they decide to be bullheaded and continue to just think they're going to get to the rim, it's going to be a long night also.
Oh yeah, because they have a nice shot blocker there for Michigan State as well. So we'll see, especially with Bryce McGowan. So that's part of his game. So that will be a big matchup tonight to see how he does. That'll wrap it up for On the Block with Strick and Bock. Once again, Chris Raff, Aaron Davis right around the corner. So don't go anywhere. And On the Block will be back tomorrow and, of course, remainder of the week. Thank you, Strick, for doing it once again today. Thank you to Chris Raff and Aaron Davis for jumping on with us. I have to say it one more time. They'll be on next, so don't go anywhere. And thank you, the listener, for joining us as well. Have a nice night and enjoy yourself some basketball and some easy listening.